8 on Thursday, March 23rd at Northside High School Auditorium. For more information, call our office at 731-800-6397.
They say consistency is the key to success. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently refreshing and light? Michelob Ultra, only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioT at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioT, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog, I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioT program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-8580. That's 731-462-8580.
Looking to add a little spice to your love life?
Nothing adds spice like gunpowder.
Jackson's only indoor shooting range, date night at the range. Here's what you lovebirds get: a shooting lane for two targets, 100 rounds of ammo, eye and ear protection, and a $30 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. All for just $99.99.
Now that's firepower.
Perfect for a gift card from the range. The Range, 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson.
Go to therange.com.
What's better than 20% over invoice, or 15% over invoice, or 10% over invoice? How about 0% over invoice? Wait, did I just say 0% over invoice? Hi, this is Sarah Beth Langley at Gene Langley Ford in Humboldt. As your authorized Ford ordering dealer, Gene Langley Ford, in partnership with Ford Motor Company, is accepting new orders at cost. So our price is your price. There's never been a better time to order your new Ford. Come see us today for details, and let's get your new Ford car, truck, or SUV on its way to your driveway. Struggling with credit issues? Not here. Our finance department can work magic to get you approved. Plus, every new Ford comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty. And if you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, check out the great selection on our lot and online. Updated daily at GeneLangleyFord.com. And remember, March is Ford Truck Month. You really should try Gene Langley Ford before you buy. The dealership service bill.
At cost offer excludes Mustang GT500 and Raptor. See dealer for warranty and financing details.
The Rocket is coming to Jackson April 13th, Meridian Baptist Church. Roger Clemens will be the guest at the 4th annual benefit to the Trey Lindsay Scholarship. Roger Clemens has an unprecedented 7 Cy Young Awards, 354 wins, and 4,672 strikeouts. Clemens' career spanned 24 years with the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and Astros. The 11-time All-Star, winning 2 World Series with the New York Yankees. Silent auction is huge with sports celebrity memorabilia along with hunts, duck calls, vacation packages, restaurant packages, and more. Follow posts on Facebook mentioning items leading up to the event. Call 731-217-7187, 731-217-7187 for table sponsor or ticket information. Brought to you by Work Care Resources and News Talk 96.5 FM and NewsTalkWTN.com.
All right, Jason Reeves. Is Jason still with us? There you go. Jason, are you still with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, fantastic. Had an obscene commercial break we had to take care of, but Jason is back, and he's going to tell us all about how to get started with spring gardening. Go, Jason.
All right. So, yeah, we are several weeks ahead of schedule this year. One things you want to pay attention to is in most of Tennessee, our frost-free date, our average frost-free date is April 15th, and that means that we can have a frost on April 15th. We can have a frost beyond that a little bit, because, again, that's our average date. So if you're planting things that are tender, things that have been in a greenhouse, things you've had in the house, tomatoes, peppers, flowers, you really want to wait till after that frost-free date. And in my head, it's always, I think it's best to wait till after Mother's Day just to be sure. So keep that in mind. Don't get over anxious. Another thing it's really important about gardening is knowing what your soil is like, knowing your pH of the soil, the nutrition of your soil. And you can easily do that by taking a soil sample. And the way you do that is contact your local county extension office. And if you're in Jackson, that's on North Parkway, if you're in Madison County. But whatever county you're in, contact your local agriculture extension office, and they can guide you on that process of how that happens, and that sample gets sent off. And when you get that sample back, it tells you what to do to your soil. If your pH is not correct on your soil, your plants can't take up the nutrition that's there. So that's one of the two things, I guess. Don't get too early, and be sure you've got your soil right before you start planting. And so that when that test comes back, it will explain what you need to do to your soil. And when you fill out that form, it'll ask you what you're growing, whether it's a vegetable garden or if it's your Bermuda grass lawn or fescue or your landscape. So that's a really good thing to get started with before you even plant anything.
All right, sounds good. Now, at this time of the year, if I remember correctly, Lowe's, Home Depot, and places like that will have blackberry stems or cuttings or whatever you call that. Is it too early to plant those?
It's not too early to plant woody plants. So plants like blackberries, blueberries, a lot of your shrubs, as long as they have not come out of a greenhouse and they're lush and all leafed out. If that's the case, then you get them in the landscape and we get a freeze here in a week or two or longer. They can most definitely damage those stems. But if they're dormant, and really a great time to plant trees and shrubs, again, if they've been out in the cool already, is this time of year. I mean, you can plant all winter long, and in the spring, you get them in the ground this time of year, and they get well established before our hot, dry summer. So those roots will start growing. Great time to plant blackberries, blueberries, trees, various shrubs as well.
All right, thank you. Now, one of the things that I often have to deal with is blossom end rot. It's a little blotchy place on the flower end of my tomatoes. How do you prevent that?
So blossom end rot, that is caused, it is a fungus that, of course, that affects the tomato. And your soil test will first tell you what you need to do with your soil, which can help prevent that. So it is calcium, I believe, is if the plant's not getting enough calcium, it's a calcium deficiency. So applying something that's high in calcium will help with that. But again, your soil test will tell you that ahead of time, whether you need to do that. So you really want to get that in the soil before you've got the plants in the ground, so it can go ahead and be acting with your soil and with the plants. So it's lack of calcium in the soil. And, there's some great university publications that you can find a lot of information about gardening, and, just Googling it. Anytime you're Googling on the web, I always recommend you add the word university in there. You come up with a publication, whether it's University of Tennessee or Florida or Texas or wherever, depending what the plant is, it may be a little different regions of the country, but those publications are well written by people that have done their homework, and they're not promoting a product, not making a profit off of it. So that's good, sound information.
Perfect. Jason Reeves at UT at the agricultural office out there. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate your help, and hopefully we'll be back in touch with you between now and the beginning of planting season. But thank you.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you so much for your time. KC, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
I am doing all right.
What's happening in your world?
Well, there's a lot going on in my world. Doc, I have got two big shows this weekend. We've got a show Friday night, which is our annual show that we do every year with the Chester County Carl Perkins Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse.
Right. Now, when you say show, what are the elements of your show?
It's a wrestling show.
Wrestling.
All right. Wrestling show. It's a wrestling show. We've got we got a whole big thing. Hang on, let me pull it back up here. I just looking at it. We've got 6 big matches. We've got a ladies match on the card. We've got a couple of tag team matches. Memphis Wrestling Hall of Famer Reggie B. Fine will be tagging up with the Joker to take on Bam Bam Bundy and Honcho Hensley. We've got the finals of the Tennessee 10 tournament were last weekend in Selmer, and the winner of that tournament, Matt Boyce, will be taking on the current Southern Heavyweight Champion, MJ Davis, with our good friend Larry Lucky P. Larson, Esquire, that you...
my pal.
Your pal over there. And and then we've got a huge main event. We've got Dan Reeves' best friend, Dangerous Doug Gilbert, Memphis Wrestling Hall of Famer, and another Memphis Wrestling Hall of Famer, as well as a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Tommy Wildfire Rich, managed by Lucky P. Larson, taking on the team of the Boogie Woogie Boy, Gary Valiant, and Henderson's own Kevin White, the new Nature Boy, Kevin White. And in their corner, WWE Hall of Famer, the Birdman, Coco Beware.
All right. Beware. You know, Coco's from Union City.
He is from Union City.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he and I went to school together. I didn't realize he was that old.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's that old.
Well, he's old. Coco has been to Madison Square Garden. Did you know that?
He has. He's been all over the world.
Yeah.
With the Bird.
One of the most famous
Frankie.
people from Union City, Tennessee, is a wrestler. If I had piled up with him, I might have amounted to something at some point.
Man, I think you amounted to something on your own.
Tell us one more time about the when and where.
And the when and where is Friday night, March the 10th. Bell time is 7 p.m. at the Chester County High School there in Henderson, and all tickets are $15. And all the proceeds and everything they raise, all the money goes to the Carl Perkins Center.
Fantastic.
And we have raised a lot of money every year for that. And then Saturday night, we travel up to Dixon, Tennessee for another big night of action in Dixon for Tennessee Championship Wrestling. So we got a big weekend coming up.
Great. We'll get back to you in just a second. Thank you, KC.
No
I
problem.
appreciate that. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jackson, Tennessee, 96.5 News Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Mark Fowler, along with Captain Larry Newman on the board, keeping us between the white lines, and KC Gold, who is going to keep us up to date on the latest events in the wrestling world. And we got some couple of nice charity events coming up. One of them is in Chester County at Henderson, Tennessee. Our call-in line is 731-265-6496, and we want to hear from you. Our sponsors today are Advanced Rehab and Medical, and their telephone number is 731-472-8805. They have a medical text line if you want us to send us a text, 731-800-TEXT. We're televising, not televising. We're not televising, Larry.
Well, yeah, we are. We're broadcasting and televising.
Broadcasting and televising.
Well, okay. We whatever it is we're doing it from the Gene Langley Ford studio. Gene Langley Ford in Humboldt, Tennessee. They're going to treat you right. They've got new cars, used cars, and they're going to be eager to see you. Thank you again to Jason Reeves. Let's take a minute and survey the headlines. KC, we're talking about COVID today. The good news is that today's average daily death is 335 deaths in the United States per day versus 1,700 deaths a day a year ago. The bad news is the government was wrong on just about everything they told us. Many of us suspected, and in Wuhan, they have two things. They have an advanced virology research market, and they have they have an advanced, I should not drink. I should avoid drugs.
I think you should avoid Dan Reeves.
Well, maybe that's it. I'm going to start over.
After the wine fiasco.
Yeah, with the wine fiasco, yeah. They have an advanced virology research center and a wet market. Now, a wet market is where they sell produce and they sell animals for consumption. It's called wet because the animals are alive and they are slaughtered and dressed in front of you. And when this whole COVID thing came out, there was considerable evidence that it came from Wuhan. Now, these two things are relatively close to each other, and the official but incorrect story was that it was coming from bats. The virus was coming from bats. And anybody who suggested, well, wait a minute, there's a virology lab just literally around the corner. No, couldn't be the virology lab. Let's peel that onion one more layer, and what we find out is that Anthony Fauci and the National Institutes of Health were financing gain-of-function research. You know, Larry, I could benefit from gain-of-function.
Me too.
Why don't they do gain-of-function research on elderly white guys? But in KC, could you benefit from gain-of-function?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My knees are shot.
Yeah. In any event, gain-of-function is where they advance and modify the virus to make it potentially a weapon. And the purpose of that was then to turn around and determine how to fight the weapon. And there were a lot of people who said, well, that's not happening, including Dr. Anthony Fauci. And by the way, even if it is happening, we don't know anything about it, which was not true either. It turns out that some of the money financing this research was going to Wuhan through second and third parties from the United States. So the original theory was that this was transmitted from bats because, lamentably, in China, they eat a lot of things. They eat bats, they eat snakes, they eat rats, they eat dogs, and so forth and so on. And this is not one world. Everyone poo-pooed that idea, said it couldn't be possible that we're eating bats is transmitting the virus. And that was correct. It turns out that there is substantial evidence now to believe that the virus was originated in the lab, that it was man-made, and that as a consequence, it was released either accidentally or intentionally. Now, the problem with that, it killed millions and millions of people. The Chinese, when this came out, did two very unusual things. They virtually locked down everybody in the affected areas and did not allow them to travel. And when I say locked down, they welded the doors shut and didn't let people out for weeks. And then the second thing they did was to destroy paperwork related to their research. Time passes, and now we are coming to believe that, in fact, it was a leak from Wuhan Virology Research Lab. But there were some other things the government did that were troublesome. One of those was the I still should not drink before I get on the air, massive closing of businesses. KC, were you affected by the Wuhan virus at all?
I will say that in a lot of different ways. First off, from the shutdown of everything.
Right. I guess that affected your shows, didn't it?
It affected shows. It affected business all the way around.
Right.
And then as you come back from that, not opening up businesses. So you had the other side of that was getting supplies.
Right.
So he's getting the things that had to be that you had to have to make the product.
Right.
So all the different supplies that it takes to make the product and then getting it to you.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
But I will say this, for the basically, I guess, 60 days that everything was shut down initially, that was kind of I say 60 days, 6 weeks, I guess it was.
Right.
Initially. I never closed. I worked by myself, but I never closed.
Right. Well, that's
so.
Still, a lot of people were just devastated by the closing, and school children were kept out of school for months on end, which put them behind. And it turns out that, and I think any country doctor could have told you this, it turns out that all this quarantining and closing down and didn't have really much effect. Still, millions of people died. Children suffered from not being in school. There was an increase in depression because people were locked down, and it didn't make a significant difference in terms of transmission. In addition to that, masking didn't help much either. Viruses are extraordinarily small, and you can sneeze right through a mask, or you can simply blow through the mask, and you're going to transmit viruses. We didn't try that during the 1918 Spanish flu in the middle of the First World War because it doesn't work, and I think people knew at the time it would not work. So you had all these people put out of businesses, many businesses closed, many people lost their livelihood. Then you had the trauma and the aggravation of dealing with masks. Study recently completed shows that masking didn't help much either. Now, the government was big on vaccines, and the government said, now, the vaccine is more important than natural immunity, and that turned out not to be the case either. The vaccination molecule, what happens in a vaccine, they create a molecule that's a portion of the vaccine, of the virus, and they inject you with that, and your body develops antibodies to that. Well, the only portion of the virus that you were reacting to was the stem cell. And as a consequence of that, you weren't creating antibodies to the entire virus.
Right.
And so the antibodies and the vaccines were not as effective. Now, they were effective in reducing the severity of the illness, but they did not eliminate the illness altogether. So masking didn't work. Closing didn't work. Governor Cuomo up in New York had the great idea of sending sick people with COVID back to the nursing home, which probably caused more deaths than if they had done something different. Complete governmental fiasco. And now the spotlight's back on Anthony Fauci, who has considerable conflict of interest because of the money that he funneled through to do that research. The fact that he denied doing gain of function research, and it is one more hot mess. Now, the good news is, as a clinician, I can tell you, I'm seeing COVID quite a bit in the clinics, and it is relatively mild. It is, in most cases, not much worse than the flu or a bad cold. There's not much that we do for that except treat symptomatically. So that is good news in terms of COVID, but it raises a whole lot of questions. And it raises the question of this: when you balance, KC, freedom versus government mandates, this is what it boils down to. We should have done more to protect the vulnerable, the elderly,
exactly,
the people with emphysema, the people with immune compromise, the people with cancer. We should have protected them better and let everybody else continue on with their lives.
Right. Well, and I agree with you on that. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call this morning. My stepdad called me this morning to tell me that he and my mom have both tested positive for COVID again.
Mm-hmm.
This is the fourth time, I believe.
Oh, my goodness.
The fourth time.
Yeah.
And I know for sure it's the third time in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's 4 times in less than 2.5 years.
Now, how sick are they?
Really, they're not hospital sick.
Right.
But my mom is 83 years old.
Yeah.
She's got a defibrillator. She's already had pneumonia in 2019.
But
so
in connection with the COVID?
No, it didn't. That didn't
Okay.
happen. So, but it's going back to the being compromised, immunocompromised, and that's so those things. When I talked to him this morning, my stepdad said that he wasn't running fever, but he started running fever over the weekend. He went to the doctor. They tested him. Now here's the thing. He went to the doctor, I believe Thursday or Friday. He wasn't feeling good. Went to the doctor. They tested him. He was running fever. Tested him for strep. Tested him for COVID. Tested him for flu. They all came back negative.
Right.
He took a home test, I believe Saturday or Sunday, and tested positive.
Tested positive. Has he retested since then?
He hasn't retested yet. I think he said he just, his fever just broke, today, Wednesday. Right. So yesterday his fever just broke. My mom came down and had fever on Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
And so I don't know if she's got fever right now or not.
How much fever do they have?
He didn't say. He just said they, but he said, coughing and hacking and all the bronchial crud and everything, as we Southerners call it, the bronchial crud.
There you go.
They've had that, and so like I said, I'm a little worried about them. I mean, my mom's 83, my stepdad's 78, so I worry about them. And going back into what you were saying about the immunocompromised and taking care of those that are more prone to get it.
Right.
And I think, and I say this, I mean, I'm not a doctor. You're a doctor. But when COVID started and I think I've still got the notebook. I literally was going through the state of Tennessee website every day and looking at and keeping track of the numbers for every county, for Madison County, Gibson County. Basically, I took Gibson County and every county that bordered it, and I tracked those numbers every single day, from deaths to hospitalizations to all that, based off the information given to me by the Tennessee State of Tennessee website,
Department of Health,
right? And what they posted online, and I had so many arguments with so many people because now any death is excruciating for people. It's trauma for anybody, but the death rate versus hospitalizations and getting well from, especially, and the only thing they didn't give you in that information was a breakdown of age.
Right.
Because they didn't want you to know.
Right.
And for a long time, they didn't put up how many people were dying from it, or how many people, and they weren't, they were putting up how many people were dying. They weren't putting up how many people recovered from it.
Right.
In that information. So but you had to look at all that, and you kind of had to decipher it. So like I said, it was kind of crazy to me that why are we, kids are going to get it. We get that.
Yep.
They get everything.
Sure.
I mean, they get everything.
They've not met the virus before.
Right.
Yeah.
They get everything. And so the rate of casualty, I guess would be the best way to put that, was way lower on that end than it was on the other end. So I always questioned in my mind, why are we shutting everything down and not taking it from here and saying, okay, they're saying 55 to 60, which at the time, I was under 55 at the time. So I was pushing the edge of that.
Right.
So that's why I said I was pushing the edge of that. So I was a little more cautious, but I was cautious about where I went and what I did and things of that nature. But I didn't stay home. I went to work every day, but I worked by myself. I think the main thing that everybody was really crazy about over this was, why are you telling us we have to shut down? And I asked this question several times, and they said, well, you could give this to somebody else. I said, but if I don't have it, how can I give it to them?
Right. But there's another dilemma, and the dilemma was this. Walmart didn't close.
Nope.
Lowe's didn't close. But mom and pop grocery stores were forced to close.
Some of them, yes.
And that put a tremendous strain on them. The call line is 731-265-6496. Call us and let us hear from you if you have an opinion. The mayor's race for Jackson, Tennessee is coming up in May, and we are going to have a mayoral candidate forum on the 23rd at 6:30 at Jackson North Side. If you have a question, concern, or comment that you want to direct to the
horticultural mayoral debate in Wuhan.
That's right.
In Wuhan.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that again. If you want to talk to the mayor candidates, go to the website, post your question. We'll be glad to entertain that. A couple more things about COVID. It is not as lethal now, and this is the nature of viruses. If the virus comes out and it kills everybody it infects, what happens is it quits getting spread. Now, the virus doesn't know that. It's not aware of that. But if the virus is so deadly, you remember the Ebola virus a few years ago? The Ebola virus killed virtually everybody who got it. I mean, you had to have super sophisticated medical support to survive it. Otherwise, you died. And as a consequence, the virus died out with it, and we really haven't heard much about that since that time. The COVID infects many people, and some people mount a vigorous response and do fine. Other people cannot mount that vigorous response, and they get sick and they die. But what happens is the ones who mount a vigorous response can still transmit a weaker version of COVID. And so over time, the weaker versions, the ones that don't make you quite as sick, continue to be transmitted, while the more virulent, or the ones that make you sicker, tend to die off in time. There's one more thing I want to talk about, and that is this. How can it be that a virus can jump from animals to humans? Because most viruses have receptors that join up with proteins on the cell that they're infecting. And so as a consequence, humans tend not to get animal viruses and animals tend not to get human viruses. Not universally true, but is true in some situations. Viruses that generate the flu and the cold, in many respects, originate, again, in China. That's not a big secret. Because of the close proximity of swine, pigs, and chickens to people. And when a virus undergoes a genetic mutation, it can then infect people. So viruses change constantly. The genome is relatively short. Through the process of replication, it can infect other people. So hopefully we're through the worst of it. I hope so. People are getting out there, enjoying their lives again. If you've had COVID once, you are probably in as good a shape as you can be. Whether or not you got the vaccine or not. And of course, you remember, KC, that the President Biden, who had double vaccines and double boosts, still got COVID.
Actually, I was just going to say my mom and stepdad both got the vaccine when it first came out.
Right.
And within 6 months hadn't gotten COVID.
Right.
So and that was, that was always my problem. Was why are they constantly telling us this is not this? Get the vaccine, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, they didn't know
that. Well, most people understood when you get the flu vaccine that you still stand the chance of getting the flu.
Right.
I mean,
it's a smaller chance.
It's a very smaller chance.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be as
bad,
as severe.
Right.
If you get your flu vaccine. Same principle with the COVID vaccine.
Right.
I think that was where the downfall was. That's the way they should have approached things.
Larry, do we have news coming up at the top of the hour?
Yes, we do.
All right. Well, that's in a few seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to 96.5 News Talk Radio. Captain Dan Reeves has been off of his medicine, unfortunately, and has turned the microphone over to me. This is Dr. Mark Fowler. You can find my articles and find my website at markwfowler.com. I have written a number of articles thinking about current events, social, political, cultural, and artistic issues of the day. And I would be delighted if you would visit that website and take a look at my articles. We'll be talking more in a few minutes about COVID, and we will also be talking about the dangers of traveling to Mexico and some of the recent events in Mexico. And we'll be talking about the United States State Department warnings about travel to Mexico. We'll also be talking about the fentanyl crisis and finally the earthquake in Turkey and Sirhan Sirhan, who was recently denied parole for the 16th time. We'll talk some more about that in just a few minutes. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Our call-in line is 731-265-6496. And if you want to send us a text, it's 731-800-TEXT.
This is WBFG 96.5 FM. 96.5 FM. Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Republicans and Democrats are criticizing the portrayal of the January 6th riot by Tucker Carlson on Fox News. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Carlson received video footage of the U.S. Capitol attacks from House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and has portrayed the rioters as peaceful. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says Carlson is not credible.
You literally can't believe the facts Tucker Carlson tells you. So say Fox's lawyers.
Even Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said it was a mistake for Fox News to depict the footage as it did. Carlson says he aired the video for transparency. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The Senate will be voting on the controversial D.C. crime bill momentarily. House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik says many Democrats are getting behind a GOP-led resolution blocking new District of Columbia crime laws that do away with mandatory minimum sentences for many crimes.
The Senate will pass House Republicans' resolution from Andrew Clyde to restore law and order in our nation's capital and repeal D.C. Democrats' City Council soft on crime and pro-carjacking bill. Those are the words of Joe Biden.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was in Ukraine for a meeting Wednesday in Kyiv with President Volodymyr Zelensky. Guterres condemns Russia's sustained attacks on Ukraine.
The position of the United Nations, which I have consistently expressed, is crystal clear. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a violation of the UN Charter and international law.
The two discussed the extension of an agreement that allows Ukraine to export grain from its Black Sea ports and permits Russia to export food and fertilizer. On Wall Street, a mixed day as the Dow was down by 58 points, the Nasdaq rose 45, the S&P advanced 5. More at townhall.com.
My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest-rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Everyone is talking about Jesus Revolution. Witness the untold origin story.
Our country is a dark and divided place, but now there's hope, and it's spreading.
Of the last spiritual awakening in American history.
This is your home, and I want you to tell all your friends about it.
Jesus Revolution, starring Jonathan Rumi and Kelsey Grammer. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13. Jesus Revolution. Only in theaters now.
Large numbers of public sector and transport workers are on strike in Greece amidst continuing anger over last week's rail tragedy, which killed 57 people.
Greece's worst ever train disaster has catalysed a sense of anger over years of underinvestment and systemic failings in the rail network and beyond. Teachers, health workers, bus drivers and ferry crews are among those joining rail workers who've been staging strikes since the accident, demanding safety improvements. Further protest rallies are also taking place. All this with an election imminent. Greece's centre-right government is scrabbling to assuage public rage and assure citizens that the rail system will be made safe.
The BBC's Danny Eberhardt. Greece isn't the only place where strikes are taking place. There are also demonstrations in France to protest the government's plans to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. An attorney with the far-left Southern Poverty Law Center is charged with domestic terrorism following a riot in Atlanta.
SPLC staff attorney Thomas Juergens was arrested alongside Antifa radicals over the weekend in what police are describing as a coordinated attack on an Atlanta police training facility that's under construction. According to the Georgia Department of Public Safety, some of the rioters tried to blind police officers by shining green lasers into their eyes. Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp condemned the violence, calling it an act of domestic terrorism. Police said the majority of those arrested were from other parts of the U.S., as well as France and Canada. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Voters in Oklahoma have rejected a ballot measure that would have made the state the 22nd in the U.S. to legalize recreational marijuana. The Oklahoma push was defeated despite far more campaign spending by advocates for legalization than by opponents. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, this is Chuck Walker with Southeastern Termite and Pest Control. We recently celebrated our 20th year in business here in West Tennessee. That's 2 decades of growth for us. We've added to our work family, moved locations a few times, seen our coworkers have kids and grandkids. We've even seen our clients who were kids when we started at their parents' house now call us to take care of their homes. Lots of things change over 20 years, but here's what hasn't. We can still be reached 24 hours a day. We still provide quality, guaranteed termite and pest control service for all of West Tennessee. We still are the go-to company for real estate closing letters. We still provide quality fungus treatments and affordable moisture barriers. We still take care of your bed bugs, brown recluse, and every other pest problem you could have. If you own a home, you need termite protection. And the biggest thing we've learned in 20 years, we need you. Give us a call 24 hours a day for a different kind of experience from a service company. Southeastern, 660-1052. That's Southeastern, 660-1052.
Hey, y'all.
y'all. This is Mary at Mulligan's. Come see us soon before the new wears off. Hard to believe, but we're coming upon an anniversary in our locally family-owned business at Union University Drive. We still have our daily lunch specials, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., which will remind you of Grandma's cooking. Or try our Irish dishes, fish and chips, Reuben's and shepherd's pie, or everyone's favorite, the Mully Burger. And how about brunch on Saturdays and Sundays? Yep, every weekend, serving Jackson for over 25 years. See you soon at Mulligan's.
What's better than 20% over invoice or 15% over invoice or 10% over invoice? How about 0% over invoice? Wait, did I just say 0% over invoice? Hi, this is Sarah Beth Langley at Gene Langley Ford in Humboldt. As your authorized Ford ordering dealer, Gene Langley Ford in partnership with Ford Motor Company is accepting new orders at cost. So our price is your price. There's never been a better time to order your new Ford. Come see us today for details and let's get your new Ford car, truck, or SUV on its way to your driveway. Struggling with credit issues? Not here. Our finance department can work magic to get you approved. Plus, every new Ford comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty. And if you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, check out the great selection on our lot and online. Updated daily at GeneLangleyFord.com. And remember, March is Ford Truck Month. You really should try Gene Langley Ford before you buy. The dealership service bill.
At cost offer excludes Mustang GT500 and Raptor. See dealer for warranty and financing
Looking to add a little spice to your love life?
Nothing adds spice like gunpowder.
Jackson's only indoor shooting range, date night at the range. Here's what you lovebirds get: a shooting lane for two targets, 100 rounds of ammo, eye and ear protection, and a $30 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. All for just $99.99.
Now that's firepower.
Perfect for a gift card from the range. The Range, 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson.
Go to therange.com.
My name is Steven and I'm 41 years old. I started having problems with my weight, my focus, my energy all around. I spent thousands of dollars a year on supplements trying to get my weight down, and it never worked.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there is an exciting natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or creams.
I got the treatment and it has been the best decision of my life. I feel great. I'm losing weight. I have more energy. I'm getting stronger in the gym and I can focus so much better. And I notice that I also sleep better and I'm always in a good mood. And I believe it's all because of the BioT treatment.
To schedule an appointment to find out if BioTE is right for you, call 731-462-3596. That's 731-462-3596. Wake up with Wood. Daybreak with Greg Wood. Weekday morning 6 till 10 on 96.5 FM and Newstalk WTN.com.
Good afternoon, friends. This is News Talk 96.5. I'm Dr. Mark W. Fowler, sitting in for Dan Reeves, who's off his medicine and inexplicably turned the microphone loose to me. Captain Larry is on the board, keeping us between the lines, and our good friend Casey Gold is here with us today. Casey, you're going to put on a show, charity show in Chester County.
Chester County High School,
right.
Henderson, Tennessee.
Right.
This Friday night, bell time is 7 p.m. All tickets are $15, and we have got a big night. All the proceeds from that go to benefit the Carl Perkins Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse there in Chester County.
A worthy cause.
A very worthy cause. My good friend Terry Hearn down there in Henderson, Neo Products and Hair Financial are the big two sponsors there. And they've got a ton of sponsors. I couldn't even read the whole list of them. There's a ton of them. Oh, I was trying to pull it up there. There it is. And I can't even read them. See, they're so small. They got so many of them on there. But we've got 6 big matches, and the main event that night is Henderson's own Kevin White and the Boogie Woogie Boy Gary Valiant with WWE Hall of Famer Coco Beware in their corner, taking on Memphis Wrestling Hall of Famer and legendary Gilbert family member, Dangerous Doug Gilbert, and his tag team partner, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Wildfire Tommy Rich, and they'll have Larry's good friend, Lucky P. Larson, in their corner. So,
my pal.
Your pal. I'm telling you, your pal. He's your pal because he sure ain't mine.
Fantastic. A fun night for a good cause. Thank you, KC. You ought to have a Pro-Am.
A Pro-Am?
Pro-Am, yeah. And then Captain Dan Reeves.
Captain, you're giving him a lot of credit. Being captain.
I want to be nice to them.
And I was going to say Private Dan Reeves, but
anyway, he could be the AM.
He could be the AM,
and you could hook him up with Coco Ware, and that would be the Pro-Am. Like they do that in golf.
Well, all I'm going to tell you is this: the last time Coco got a hold of Lucky P. Larson, he beat him with his own briefcase, and every time the fans would tell him that one more time, he would hit him again. And I think he hit Lucky about 25 times with that briefcase.
Wow.
And he wore him out with a briefcase, and we were in South Fulton. So
he wasn't very lucky that night, was he?
He was very unlucky. And I won't tell you what some of the fans call him because that's I'm telling you, it's something.
I can imagine.
It's something else, but
You're listening to News Talk 96.5. I keep stepping on KC. He's going to give me a pile driver here, and I'll shut up. You're listening to 96.5 News Talk. Captain Dan Reeves is in the house, but he has office medicine. He's turned the whole microphone over to me. And KC's helping me out, and Captain Larry is on the board, keeping us between the white lines.
Okay, I'm going to say this.
What?
I got to say it one time. I said private. You can't call him Captain Dan.
You can't?
No, you got to call him Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan.
From the movie. Yeah, that fits. I like
Lieutenant
Dan. Lieutenant Dan. I'm glad he can't hear this.
Oh, he can hear it.
He'll get a call from somebody. The call line is 731-265-6496. The text line is 731-800-TEXT. The chief of police in Washington, D.C. came out today, held a press conference, and he is letting us know the obvious, that the way to reduce crime is to put criminals in jail. And for that, he should get the Captain Obvious Award. He's talking about many people are arrested 13, 14, 15 times, never prosecuted, never put in jail, and, of course, they keep offending. And so the chief of police deserves... I call him Captain Obvious, but he deserves kudos for at least stating the obvious and beginning to push back. I mean, if you don't want to go to jail, there's an easy solution. Don't break the law. And if you don't break the law, the likelihood of going to jail is infinitesimally small. So anyway, thank you, Chief of Police, and hopefully that will make a big difference, and some of these crazy prosecutors will turn themselves around. Let's talk now briefly about Mexico. It is not one world. There are different cultures, different ways of living. Nobody in his right mind would send his female college student daughter to Afghanistan as an exchange student. The reason is the Afghanis will not let girls go to school. By the same token, nobody in his right mind would go and live in Venezuela voluntarily because they are literally eating zoo animals and dogs and harvesting food from the trash. Those people did that to themselves by voting in socialism. They have suffered now, and the problem is you can always vote socialism in, KC, but you have to shoot your way out of it.
Exactly, and you can look at some of the things that go on around the world in those countries, and you see how bad it's turned.
Right.
Just economically.
Exactly.
And the thing is the economics, and this is my opinion. Okay, I'm not going to state a fact here. My opinion is you look at some of these things, and the economy is what drives the crime rates. It drives it drives those things. Because when people get that hungry, they will do whatever they have to do to feed their families.
Correct.
And so that's some of what goes on here in this country in some of the bigger cities with all of the inner city problems that you have because they're not funded as well.
Right.
And the people there, some of them are, and then it becomes a kind of I hate to say trickle down problem, but it becomes a trickle down problem all the way around.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It does not take too many people to spoil the environment for everyone. When they raised or lowered the penalty for shoplifting and raised the bar to $1,000, you can imagine what did happen. And that is people would take a garbage bag and steal everything in sight and walk out. And Super D, Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, they can't take $1,000 loss multiple times a day, day after day, and stay in business.
Right.
And so as a consequence, the little old lady who's 80 years old, who lives 2 blocks from Walgreens in San Francisco or in Portland or wherever, now finds herself having to take the bus all the way across town because Walgreens closed, because they cannot sustain that loss. And the tragedy of Venezuela is Venezuela was one of the most one of the most prosperous countries in Latin America. They turned it over to Hugo Chavez, who was voted in, by the way, and he was succeeded. And as a consequence, the person who succeeded him, whose name escapes me. You know who that is, Larry? Nicolas Maduro, isn't it? Yeah. Maduro has taken over and has refused to step down. As a consequence, people are losing weight. The average weight loss in an adult is 35 pounds. They literally do not have enough to eat, and everything has collapsed because of Maduro's socialist policies. Similar things are happening in Mexico. Now, I'm confident there are millions of Mexicans who are wonderful, nice people, good people. But the problem is there are a handful of bad apples in Mexico that are destroying the country. The political system is completely corrupt by drug cartels and drug money. Now, that's not entirely due to Mexicans' fault. Some of that money is coming from people in the United States who are consuming drugs. And that is financing the cartels who have such a terrible hold on the government. But I want to share with you some things about Mexico, and some of this is lifted from the United States State Department language advising government employees. And here's some of the restrictions on United States government employees in Mexico. Number 1, don't travel at night. Don't travel at night. Number 2, don't hail a taxi off the street. You have to use Uber or Lyft, where there is a mechanism for tracking who's picking you up, or you have to go to a registered taxi stand. Don't drive away from the border, except on Highway 85 and Highway 15, and only during the daytime. There are 32 Mexican states. Only 2 of them are free of State Department advisories on travel. Sadly, 4 people were recently kidnapped, and 2 of them were killed. 2 of them survived but were badly tortured. And the thinking, the reportage is that these 4 were mistaken for Haitian drug smugglers. They were stopped when the cartel thugs shot up their minivan, disabling the minivan. They killed 2 of them. They took the other 2 and tortured them, moving them from place to place until the Mexican police found them. This is not a place where you want to be on vacation. And I know that many of you thinking about spring break, particularly college students who are particularly vulnerable because they dress like they're well off. They wear fancy watches, fancy clothes. They act inappropriately. They act like tourists, American tourists, and they get taken advantage of. But there's something else that I wanted to talk about. In Mexico, in some drugstores, as much as 45% of the medications are fake. 45%. And now, Larry, it seems to me that if you're running a drugstore and 45% of your medications are fake, how can you not know that? How can you not know that?
I don't know what the how they keep up with all the drugs in Mexico.
Yeah, but you go in, drugs like Eliquis, Plavix, and others, which are vital, which are essential to maintaining your health if you have a history of blood clots or atrial fibrillation, and they're fake. And the people who did this research would show you that they are very, very similar. Now, American tourists go down there on the theory they're going to save a big bunch of money on these drugs. And some of the drugs they're absolutely worthless, and they're not helping you at all. But what is the pharmacist, KC, in the back of the building doing? What is he thinking?
Well, the next question to me, is it the pharmacist, or is it the middleman from the drug company to the pharmacy?
Could be.
It could be. There's several options there, and that's another one of those needs to be investigated. Do you have if you go in here would be my theory on it. If you go into one pharmacy and you sample X amount of 3 different drugs,
right?
Then you go to another pharmacy and you sample the same samples of the same drugs. You mark those out, and then you go to another pharmacy, do the same thing, and sample that drug and go, okay, everyone, out of the 5 we picked up here, we had 2 that were fake, and over here we had 3 that were fake. That's going to tell you that it's not the pharmacy. That's going to tell you that it's coming. That's the way it's coming to them.
Yeah, it's coming to them now.
So is it the pharmacy and is it the pharmacist in the back, or do you need to figure out, because this, are the pharmacists doing it? Okay, if they're doing it, now you eliminate that pharmacy.
Right.
And that's how you figure it out. So what are they doing? And how are they going to go about figuring that out? Right. Because you can't take the drugs away from the people and give them fake drugs and then not realize that in the long run, that's going to kill more people. Or are you just so greedy that you're trying to cut the drugs with something else, baking soda, aspirin, whatever.
Cornstarch, yeah.
Exactly, to do this. But when they already, and that's kind of my thing, most of them already come in pill form.
Mm-hmm.
So are they, do they have the pills that look similar? Are they loading them up? Have you got when they fill your bottle, fill your prescription, when you open those up, have you got 10 pills and 5 of them are real and 5 of them are fake? Because they look so similar, you would never know.
But consider the degree of social background, social degradation involved when half the drugs, 45% of the drugs, are totally counterfeit.
Exactly.
Where is the government looking after the people?
Exactly.
Surely they have a Food and Drug Administration that's testing random lots. But, you raise an interesting point. If they're coming out of the factory, okay, and that's where the Mexican FDA is testing them, then they're being picked up midstream. It's the mid-level guys.
It's somewhere from there to the pharmacy itself.
Right.
And you've got to investigate that. You've got to track that down.
Right.
Because I can only assume if that happened here, can you imagine the fiasco?
Oh, the uproar would be
that would happen.
Incredible.
Because there would be people that would, and the drug companies would be getting sued left and right.
Right. Or there'd be people going to jail. It would be a significant problem. But what does it say about the culture in Mexico when this degree of counterfeit drugs is going around? There has to be more awareness than meets the eye.
You would think there would be, and I'm sure there is, but we already know how with the drug cartels and everything there, how corrupt and I hate to say the government, because it's some of the government, is not everybody in the government, but how corrupt things are there.
Right. It is not one world, ladies and gentlemen. That kind of thing probably could not go on here in the United States. Now, there's another layer to this onion, and that is this. The Mexicans receive the precursor molecules for fentanyl. And somewhere in Mexico, people assemble these precursor drugs and make them into counterfeit Lortab, counterfeit Percocet, counterfeit Xanax. And they send them to the United States. Now, these people are not all that keen on quality control. And it takes only 2 milligrams of fentanyl to kill you. And so, lamentably, what's happening is people between the ages of 18 and 30 are taking these counterfeit drugs at parties. They're taking them from their friends, and they are dying. We had 100,000 fentanyl overdose last year in the United States. That's a plane crash every day. That's 300 people dying every day.
That's crazy.
And it is terrifying. If I were the parent of a teenager, if I were a parent of a college student, I would sit down, Larry, and I would have this talk. Whatever you think in the midst of that party, however cool you think you're going to be, or whatever high you think you're going to get, is not worth the very real risk of taking counterfeit drugs and dying of fentanyl. When I worked in the prison, we had counterfeit pills. The prisoners would get them. Don't ask me to explain how, but they would. And they would have multiple fentanyl overdoses. We would have multiple fentanyl overdoses in a week, and they would collapse. They would be brought in. They would be completely unresponsive, turning blue. You could rub on their chest. You could pinch their fingernails, and they would not respond until you gave them multiple doses of fentanyl. Of Narcan, and you inject the Narcan to spray, inject it in their nose, and then they would come around. But if you're not in the presence of somebody with Narcan, you are going to die with a lethal dose of fentanyl. And as we said, 100,000 people die per year. The Chinese are doing this to us. The Mexicans are doing this to us. And the United States government is not adequately responding, in my opinion, to this crisis. What say you, Larry?
Well, I mean, that's just a horrible statistic. What my question is why are these people so miserable in life that they've got to be stoned and high and all that all the time anyway?
Yeah, there's a question for you, and I don't understand it. Now, Casey, you may be like me, and from time to time, I enjoy a nice glass of bourbon. Now, it's not an 8-ounce glass of bourbon. Are you a teetotaler, Casey?
16?
Actually, I am not. And it's funny that you say that, because this past weekend I went to one of my friend's weddings, and I don't generally drink.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm the one that has to drive.
Right.
So I'm very big on not drinking and driving. And so we were actually staying there at the hotel, and I had a few too many.
Uh-oh.
Just a few.
Well,
buzzed
partying is drunk partying.
It is. Luckily, we were at the hotel and I didn't have to drive.
Would you say horticulturist for us 3 times real quick?
I would not.
They ought to add that to the sobriety test.
I'm telling you.
I can't say it, and I'm sober.
I want to see Blake Shelton say it on The Voice.
There you go. 3 times real fast. Anyway, the Jewish religion celebrates wine as a part of their religious ceremony, and wine, alcohol, it elevates the spirits, it softens the day, and it helps you enjoy your friends. And I don't see anything wrong with that. You know what Benjamin Franklin said, Larry? Benjamin Franklin said, beer is a sign that God loves us and wants us to enjoy life. I didn't know Ben was a theologian, but that's not a bad philosophy.
I'm just going to say amen.
Amen.
And they wrote that down. You know how he said it?
How?
God gives it to you.
I bet he couldn't say horticulturalist either.
That probably wasn't even a term back then.
Yeah. Let's talk briefly a little bit about the tragedy in Turkey, which has been pushed out of the headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, a few days ago, they had an earthquake in Turkey, and I want you to put your coffee down, and I want you to think about this, what this would look like, what this would feel like, what this would be like if you were there. 46,000 people died out of a population of 82 million. 46,000 people died. There is a little boy running around in Turkey right now whose sister was killed, whose parents were killed. He is an orphan. There is a man over in Turkey whose children are killed, whose wife is a quadriplegic because she was crushed. There are 240,000 apartments destroyed in Turkey, probably housing maybe 1 million or more people. that's been bumped out of the news. As you sit there with your coffee, as you sit there listening to us in your comfortable house with adequate food, adequate power, you're out of the rain, you're warm when it's cold, you're cool when it's warm. Remember these people, also children of God, and be mindful of them and help. You can send $5 to the Red Cross. You can send $5 to Samaritan's Purse, both of which are actively involved in relief efforts in Turkey. If you want to send to another charity, let me make a couple of suggestions. Go to Charity Watch, and they can give you information on who is a good place or to contribute to. A lot of times, unfortunately, there are unscrupulous people who will set up a new charity and steal your money and not provide it to the victims. So go to Charity Watch. Red Cross, Samaritan's Purse, your local church may have a fund to send to Turkey, but 46,000 deaths is a terrible, terrible experience. Many people homeless, many people still in the cold over there. So be mindful and help. Larry, what's the weather like today?
Man, you shouldn't have asked me.
He wasn't
prepared. I've got it. No, I'm prepared. I've got it right here. I just have to.
You have to click that button.
I should have
put
given
my
you some
code
warning.
in. That's all right. Currently, it's 48 degrees in Jackson, Tennessee. Stop it. This thing.
Come on, Captain Larry.
His Cuban
There
Peter
it is. Now,
his FUBAR.
It's 50 degrees. It feels like 47, so it dropped. That's why it changed. The barometric pressure in Bemis is 30.22. It is going to be cloudy tonight. We will get some rain, about a 20% chance of showers. It's going to be in the upper 40s tonight, so it'll be cool on your way to work tomorrow. Tomorrow, it will be 56 and thunderstorms during the day, and 48 and a 70% chance of storms on Thursday night. On Friday, mostly cloudy and 54, partly cloudy and 36 on Friday night. On Saturday, 54 during the day and mostly sunny, and at night the temperature drops to 49, and you've got thunderstorms coming again. So,
all right.
There's the weather.
Thank you, Larry. Why don't we take an obscene commercial break at this time, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with closing thoughts.
Not too expensive, nothing too fancy, just an authentic Italian family recipe served up piping hot, just like a pizza pie should be. Locally owned and operated Carico's Pizza, home of the $8 lunch special. 2 slices and a drink for just $8. Buy the slice or the 28-inch monster, perfect for the bowl game. Carico's Pizza, 1370 Union University Drive. For catering, call 731-240-1033. For the full menu, visit caricospizza.com. Have you noticed IV drips popping up all over town? But only one premier health and wellness provider, Jackson IV and Wellness Clinic, offers the latest advances in medical IV treatments. Our highly trained nurse practitioners administer nutrient-infused IVs and injections to provide essential quality of life vitamins and minerals. Jackson IV and Wellness Clinic. Safe, natural, replenishing. 1022 Greystone Square, Jackson. Request an appointment today at jacksoniv.com.
King Jewelers is not your typical run-of-the-mill jewelry store. It's an iconic symbol of love. Custom handmade jewelry to suit your taste or melt down your old stuff and create something completely new. Grover has over 35 years as a certified jeweler with While You Wait services that include free jewelry cleaning, fine jewelry, friendly staff, custom designs, quality repairs, and of course, Grover. KingJewelersJackson.com, 16B Conrad Drive, Jackson. Follow King Jewelers Jackson on social media for special savings.
When you need a heart expert, you need an expert with heart. Corbin Cardiology is dedicated to providing the highest quality cardiovascular care in West Tennessee. At Corbin Cardiology, our patient-centered approach, along with a full array of diagnostic imaging services, sets us apart from other cardiovascular clinics. Corbin Cardiology has clinics in Bartlett, Dyersburg, Lexington, and the newest location is now open in Jackson at 58 Murray Guard Drive. To schedule an appointment in office or by telemedicine, visit CorbinCardiology.com
or call 731-513-5701.
All right, we're back. 96.5 News Talk, Jackson, Tennessee. We have a caller. Caller, are you there? Are you there, caller?
Caller.
Are you there? We dropped the line accidentally. Call us back. We want to hear from you. Is he still there?
Yeah.
Hello, caller. Go ahead. Well, maybe
he dropped the line.
Somebody dropped the line. Our phone line sponsor is CWA Development. They have a combined 80-year experience providing high-quality, personalized service to their customers. They're open from Monday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Saturday. On Sundays, there is an emergency number, and they'll get right out to you. That number is 731-503-9598. These are good folks, and they have a great deal of expertise in all kinds of things to renovate and restore your house, including fire and water damage restoration, plumbing, including the installation of sinks, faucets, toilets, garbage disposals, water heaters, and repairing leaks. They do gutter, roof, and window cleaning, power washing, fence and deck repairs. It's a good time to get that deck refurbished and finished and ready for the summer season. They do lawnmower repairs and irrigation repairs. That is CWA Development, and the number is 731-503-9598, and we appreciate their sponsoring our call-in line. We got a phone caller?
Yes, we do.
Oh, caller, go.
You, my friend?
Man, I'm doing all right, I guess.
Yeah, you've been out there playing in the rain today?
Not today, man. It's too wet.
Well, we were just talking about you just a few minutes ago for our big show Friday night down at Chester County High School there in Henderson, Tennessee. And Kevin is a Memphis wrestling superstar from back in the day, and he has been kind of semi-retired here lately, I think. But he's coming out to tag with a Boogie Woogie Boy against your longtime nemesis, Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich, Friday night. So give us a little word there, Kev, on what's going on with that match.
Well, this Carl Perkins deal, I actually started the show several years ago before I actually retired, so it's pretty near and dear to my heart. It's something that it's actual fundraiser that the money actually stays right there in our community instead of going out and spread out all over. And the school systems, before I started my professional wrestling career, I coached football and taught at this school system. So I got a lot of friends and family around. And I'm sure Doug Gilbert, Tommy Rich, they probably thinking just because I've been out of the ring for 5 or 6 years that I'm going to be rusty. And I probably will be rusty. Rusty on doing some hip tosses or arm drags. As far as putting my knuckles up and going nose to nose and toe to toe, I can still do that any day.
All day, every day, right, Kevin?
That's right.
And, well, I was going to say, Kevin is from right there in Henderson. He actually used to coach football, right?
Yes, sir.
There at Chester County High School.
And that's one of the reasons I know, football, playing football, coaching football, it taught me more about life than any school class or anything in college I ever learned. I learned more there. So I know how Doug and Tommy is always a numbers game. There's always something. You got to have eyes in the backside and a couple in front of you, to watch what all they got going up their sleeves.
Well,
so I knew the one person I could find would be the head football coach at Chester County, that's turning that program around, making it a great place and teaching those kids about life and to get in there and have him be the referee and make sure everything goes like it's supposed to go that night.
Special referee DeJuan Johnson Friday night for the main event. Ooh. So the head coach of the Chester County High School football team, that's going to be a big night. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big night of action. Tickets are $15. All tickets $15. All the proceeds go to the Carl Perkins Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse of Chester County. Kevin, I appreciate you calling. I'm going to tell you, you forgot something there. You
What's
got
that?
you got somebody else, because on the other side
Yeah, you talk about the numbers game. I'm sure they've got somebody that's coming to the ring with them.
Well,
I was going to try to keep it quiet, but I let it go. So I made a phone call to a friend of mine that's been in the business for a long time. He's been all over the world and back, but he's one of those guys that no matter what's going on or what he's going through, if you call him, he drops what he's doing and comes running. And that's Coco Beware. So he's going to be on our side and make sure that anything they try to pull, if anybody else wants to step in, be our guest. Because the Birdman going to make sure it doesn't happen.
Kevin, I went to school with Coco Ware. He's from Union
Oh,
City.
really?
Yeah,
He
from
sure
Union
is.
City. Yeah, he's the only
good athlete up there at Union City, too.
Yeah, he's the only person from Union City who's ever performed in Madison Square Gardens.
That's right.
I should have gone into wrestling. I might have amounted to something, but there you are. Coco Ware. This is a wonderful event. It's a great charity. It's the Carl Perkins Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse. Chester County High School, 6 p.m. this Friday.
Doors open at 6, bell time's at 7.
All right.
And Kevin White and his partner, the Boogie Woogie Boy, Gary Valiant, with the Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer, Coco Beware, the Birdman in their corner, taking on Memphis Wrestling Hall of Famer, Dangerous Doug Gilbert, and former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Wildfire Tommy Rich, with Larry's good buddy over there, Lucky P. Larson, in their corner.
My pal.
So your pal. I'm glad you said he's your pal. If he gets too close to Kevin's liable to deck him. And
that's my plan. At some point in the night.
Please do.
Some point in the night, when I get these hands around that little neck of his and try to drive this fist down his neck ain't too little, but I mean,
he got a pretty big neck. Got to be for that big head he's got.
Well, that's just make it easier to squeeze when you grab a hold of it.
I have to say, Larry, to paraphrase what William F. Buckley said one time, I would rather trust the government to the first 200 wrestling fans than the entire Harvard professor, the Harvard faculty. I would rather trust 200 wrestling fans than the entire Harvard faculty.
I feel him.
Yeah.
I can be down with that real easy.
Yeah.
So Kevin,
wrestling fans are the greatest, and man, whether you like wrestling or not, come out and support a good cause. And if you want to see things get wild and woolly, then come out too, because that's what's going to happen. I promise you.
Thank you for your call, Kevin. The telephone number is 731-265-6496. It is a CWA Development new phone line sponsor. CWA Development has 80 years of experience in the business in commercial and residential maintenance, restoration and renovation, fire and water damage restoration, plumbing, gutter roof and window cleaning, wood repairs, fence and deck repairs. The telephone number is 731-503-9598. We're coming to you. This is Dr. Mark Fowler. Dan Reeves is off his medicine and turned the microphone over to me in a moment that I'm confident he will regret shortly. Our other sponsors include Advanced Rehab and Medical. Their text line number 731-800-TEXT. They can fix you right up. We've been talking about COVID. If you have the sniffles, a headache, cough, shortness of breath, go out there and see them at Urgent 45 and they'll fix you right up. If you need an automobile, go see Gene Langley Ford in Humboldt, Tennessee. Telephone number 731-784-9311. They will fix you up. New cars, used cars, they will treat you right. They will treat you right.
You can build your own car. They have a lifetime warranty.
Yes.
On any car that you buy.
Yes.
Or new car. So that's the place to go.
Yeah, you can't beat them. And it's not going to be like you take it in if it breaks down and you say, this car broke down. I bought it from you. It has a lifetime warranty. They're not going to tell you, well, you've reached the end of the life. No warranty doesn't apply.
Well, the question is, was it the lifetime of the car, or is it your lifetime?
Yeah.
That's the lifetime warranty I want. That's the question I have. But I'm joking. I kid. I only kid. It's a lifetime warranty there at Gene Langley Ford. And so Go buy a car, Larry.
Yeah, go see them. Go see them at Gene Langley Ford in Humboldt, Tennessee.
No.
And ask them if they can say horticulturalist, and if they can, they're going to give you a good deal.
If they can't, they got to give me a free car.
That's right.
Well, it's like the kid that had the lemonade stand, and
Yeah.
it said all the lemonade you can drink for $1.
Yeah.
The guy gave him $1, and he drank all the lemonade. He said, "Fill it up again." He said, "That'll be another $1." He said, "I thought it was all you could drink for $1." He said, "Sir, that's all you can drink for $1."
All right. Very good. Looks like we're in for a little cool weather, some rain the next few days. Be mindful of that. If you have a problem, give our good friends at CWA Development a call. They specialize in fire and water damage restoration. Appreciate Jason Reeves calling us earlier and getting us started on the garden season. Expect to hear from him again in the next few days. We want to wind up the program now talking about something else in the news, and that is Sirhan Sirhan. Larry, you were around and alive and awake, alert, and oriented in 1968?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 1968. How old were you in 1968?
14.
14. I was 10 in 1968. And those of you, KC, were you around?
I was real around because I was like, well, it depends on when it was in 1968, but I was less than one. So I was real round because I was still drinking. I was still drinking
Had the
milk.
same haircut, too.
Yeah, I did, almost.
1968 was a difficult year. Among other things, Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee in April of 1968. The Vietnam War was in progress, and Lyndon Johnson was mishandling it. There had been thousands and thousands of American casualties and considerable antipathy toward the government's role. The government was drafting people, but you could get a deferment, which meant that many young men went to college, leaving the poor and disadvantaged to fight the fight, which was primarily instituted by men from Harvard and Yale. President Johnson was besieged by criticism over his handling, besieged by his dishonesty about the progress of the war, and too many American boys were coming home in body bags. During that period of time, Eugene McCarthy decided to challenge President Johnson for the presidency. President Johnson was the incumbent and presumed Democratic nominee for the election in 1968, having been elected or reelected in 1964 after the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Eugene McCarthy did well, winning the New Hampshire primary, which demonstrated that Lyndon Johnson was vulnerable during the election. Shortly thereafter, Robert F. Kennedy decided to get into the Democratic presidential primary. As he did so, Lyndon Johnson announced that he would not seek nor would he accept the primary so that he could focus his entire efforts on winning the war. The flip side of that is, of course, that Johnson recognized that he was electorally vulnerable, and it would be humiliating to be defeated by either Kennedy or McCarthy. On June 5th, 1968, Robert Kennedy won the Democratic California primary. He was in the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, California. After celebrating his victory and announcing his intention to go on to the Chicago Democratic primary, the Chicago Democratic Convention, he was assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan. Sirhan Sirhan was a Jordanian Palestinian who was upset over Kennedy's pledge to provide military and financial support to Israel. He acted in front of multiple eyewitnesses. He was actually tackled by Roosevelt Grier. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah, he was put to the ground by Roosevelt Grier.
He broke his thumb.
Yeah. Senator Kennedy from New York was fatally wounded that night. One of the first things he said after being shot was, "Is everyone okay?" That's the kind of individual he was. Sirhan Sirhan is now 79. He's had 16 parole hearings that at one point was granted parole by the parole board, which was revoked by Governor Newsom, and one of the few things that I agree with Governor Newsom about. Governor Newsom felt that Sirhan had not realized the implications or had significant insight into what he had done. So at 79, when most prisoners who had committed murder at his age and with his length of sentence have been released, Sirhan remains in prison. And I support Sirhan remaining in prison. Because what he did was not just the murder of an individual. What he did was to tear a hole in the fabric of our society. It was a time of great turmoil. America was aflame. Detroit was suffering from riots. Los Angeles was suffering from riots. We were in a difficult situation. As I said, Martin Luther King had been killed, and the country seemed to be coming apart at the seams. The Democratic Convention in Chicago later that summer proved also to be very disappointing and violent. The Chicago police manhandled many of the protesters. Tear gas filled the hall, and it was an unceremonious Democratic convention. Kennedy had been killed. Vice President Hubert Humphrey then took up the race, and he was elected. He won the Democratic primary and became the Democratic nominee. Humphrey would go on to lose to Richard Nixon in Nixon's second appearance in presidential electoral politics. President Nixon ran on a platform of law and order. Paradoxically.
I am not a crook.
I am not a crook. Humphrey was too closely allied with Johnson and lost the election. Robert Kennedy was neither a saint nor a hero, and it is impossible to say where he might have taken the country, where he might have taken us out of Vietnam, and how, had he survived. But the problem with this murder of this man under these circumstances was that it tore a hole in the national fabric at a time when we're already bruised and broken and bleeding. This was one more blow to the national psyche. This is not a banana republic. We treasure the transfer of power in a peaceful way, January 6th notwithstanding, and we treasure the fact that we transfer power peacefully. When you tear that fabric, it diminishes all of us. We wish to discourage and diminish any influence that might prevent qualified candidates from running. Colin Powell was an eminently qualified individual, qualified to be president, and he refused to run because of his wife's apprehension about violence that might be done to him. Sirhan changed the course of our country irreversibly. Peaceful, stable societies require order, safety, and trust in the passage of power, and Sirhan destroyed that. It may well be that now he has insight into what he has done. It may well be that he's no longer a threat to society per se, but I say that justice requires that Sirhan remain in prison for the rest of his natural life as a signal to those like him who might tear the fabric further for the next presidential nominee. What say you, Larry?
Well, I've seen several things on the Kennedy assassination, and the maitre d' that was leading them from the stage through the kitchen,
right,
said that when Sirhan pulled the gun, he was in front of the Kennedy, and that he grabbed him, and he never got closer than 4 feet from Kennedy, and the shot that killed him was behind his ear.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So that kind of, it's just another one of those Kennedys getting killed.
Yeah.
But he had put the mafia and organized crime on. He was real rough on them.
He was.
He was Attorney General, and so that that could have been something that led to that, because he really had it in for Jimmy Hoffa.
Yes, he did. Robert F. Kennedy was one of the attorneys for Estes Kefauver's committee, which was investigating racketeering.
Right.
And he gave Jimmy Hoffa fits, as you know, and was probably responsible, in part at least, for Jimmy Hoffa's conviction. KC, what say you in light of your wisdom and experience?
Well, I don't know about wisdom and experience, but I will say if he was the one in he's the one there.
Mhm.
So he's the one that shot Bobby Kennedy or Robert Kennedy. With Bobby Kennedy, and I don't know how to exactly put this. I know he was a presidential candidate at that time, or preparing to be a presidential candidate. Anyone that does something of that nature, I don't see any reason they should ever get out of jail.
Right.
We have to send a message. You can't. You can't do that. You can't do that.
And you were talking about the maitre d' or the that was walking them through,
right?
And we were just, as you were just talking about, the theory that we know nobody knows for sure because you can't get all the information, but there's several theories about the mafia being involved with the killing of JFK for that very reason, that he was the one that turned Bobby Kennedy loose on them.
Right.
And now here is Bobby Kennedy, and you, I guess you think, okay, they had a role in this. Why wouldn't they have a role in that? Yeah. Because if this is the guy that was actually coming after him.
Right.
So
you have that. I think with utmost respect and deference to both of you, I think the evidence strongly suggests, but not conclusively suggests, perhaps, that Lee Harvey Oswald was a loner, acted alone. I've actually been to the Texas School Book Repository in Dallas. That is an eerie feeling to be within feet of where Oswald was and where the rifle was found. It is an eerie feeling to go out to Dealey Plaza and stand where Zapruder made the film. They have marked an X where the first shot hit Kennedy and another X where the second shot hit Kennedy. And it certainly elicits considerable thought and feeling. Sirhan Sirhan was a disaffected Jordanian Palestinian. From all we can know and prove, he acted alone. But it was a terrible loss to our country. KC, it has been a pleasure to have you on the show this afternoon.
Doc, it's been a pleasure to be here. It feels like we just got started.
Yeah, I know. Give us a plug one more time for your wrestling event.
Friday night, Chester County High School. Doors open at 6. Bell time 7 p.m. Chester County High School, Henderson, Tennessee. 6 big matches. The main event that night is Henderson's own new Nature Boy Kevin White teaming with the Boogie Woogie Boy Gary Valiant, with WWE Hall of Famer Coco Beware in their corner, taking on the legendary Gilbert family member and Memphis Wrestling Hall of Famer Dangerous Doug Gilbert, and his tag team partner, Memphis Wrestling Hall of Famer and former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Wildfire Tommy Rich, with Larry's good buddy Lucky P. Larson in their corner. Special referee for that match is going to be Chester County High School football coach DeJuan Johnson. And all the proceeds of this go to the Chester County Carl Perkins Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse.
Right.
They're in Henderson, Chester County. So all the money stays right there.
Now, this is professional wrestling.
Professional wrestling.
Right.
Gotta say it right.
And you expect a big crowd?
We expect a big crowd every year, and last year we got snowed on.
Oh.
So I was going to tell you, check the weather and make sure we're not having snow.
No snow or rain Saturday.
Friday. No snow or rain Friday. So everybody can come out and they can stay through the whole event this time, because last year we accumulated a whole bunch of snow real quick because it wasn't snowing when we got there, but it sure was snowing when we left.
Our thanks to CWA Development, experts in restoration and renovation. Our thanks to KC Gold. KC, do you expect to see any Harvard faculty there?
This is WBFG 96.5 FM. 96.5 FM. Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. At least 6 Palestinians have been killed during an Israeli West Bank raid. correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Palestinian health officials say the Israeli army had on Tuesday raided a home in a refugee camp in the occupied West Bank, triggering a battle that killed and wounded Palestinians. The military says one of those killed in the Jenin refugee camp was the suspected assailant behind a fatal shooting of two Israeli brothers in the northern West Bank town of Harawa last week. An Israeli police spokesperson says 3 Israeli forces are in fair to serious condition after being shot and wounded in the Jenin firefight. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic held its first hearing investigating the origins of COVID-19. Dr. Robert Redfield, the former director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, stressed that available data indicates that the pandemic was more likely the result of...
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMC.
What do you think he'll get you this year? Candy? Flowers?
No, I was thinking something more sparkly.
Wow, congratulations. How many carats do you think he'll spring for?
Girl, forget the ring. I want some of that shiny 45 Automark bling.
At 45 Automark, get a jewelry box full of $1,000 savings just by walking in and saying,
"Show me the bling."
We've had an 18-year clean Carfax successful marriage to our customers, and to keep the romance alive, we're taking $1,000 off so our relationship thrives. Say,
"Show me the bling,"
and carry this loaded leather sunroof Honda CRV over the threshold for $11,900, or pick up this 60,000-mile 2020 Chevy Colorado for just $21,900. Don't fall for Mr. Megadigger with a sappy sales spiel and false love sting when every drive-in your Forever 45 ride will give you the feels like a sweet romance with $1,000 off because you said,
"Show me the bling." So call 989-8059 or come to 45 Automark today.
Wear your $1,000 off the perfect for you ride with that love's in bloom at first sight feeling that'll make you swoon and leave you reeling. Dealer!
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson-Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Not too expensive, nothing too fancy, just an authentic Italian family recipe served up piping hot, just like a pizza pie should be. Locally owned and operated Carico's Pizza, home of the $8 lunch special. 2 slices and a drink for just $8. Buy the slice or the 28-inch monster. Perfect for the ball game. Carico's Pizza, 1370 Union University Drive. For catering, call 731-240-1033. For the full menu, visit caricospizza.com.
This is Teen Talk. I'm your host, Bree McCrudden. I have with me Sean Jeans.
Hey, it's
Hi.
Sean Jeans.
We got some little local sports opening happening right now. Yeah. Okay. We apparently got the local sports intro today. Good for us. So, Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good today, Bree. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty good.
You know, it was a school day. I didn't have school yesterday, so it kind of sucked being back today, but...
Yeah, it always sucks being at school.
Now, you had school yesterday, though.
Yeah.
How did the ACT go? Are you even like legally allowed to say how it went?
Bro, they have this weird clause where you're not allowed to talk about any of the results or like any of the questions with anybody. So I guess
until they
legally-
release it.
Until they release it. But like, disclaimer, it did not go well. I was aiming for like a 23. I mean, maybe 21. Maybe 21.
So 23 is the goal.
That was the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't understand how people get 36s on that.
No, I get it because mine's a 23. So I got a 23 and was like, and I'm done.
We're one and the same, I guess.
Yeah. It's good enough for Murray State, so it's good enough for me.
I don't even know what college I'm going to yet.
You're a junior, that's fine.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Good for me.
Literally, the college I'm ended up going to, or at least I'm going to go to, is one that I did not know existed until around this time last year because one of my friends was like, I'm going to go to Murray State. And I was like, interesting, okay. And I didn't learn anything about it. And then whenever it's your senior year, colleges will like send you these advanced application things, or at least, I don't know if they send everybody these, but they're like, at least for Madison students, get them because we're Madison.
Yeah, Madison.
Where like I was sent, the very first one I got was from Murray. And it was like pretty much all you have to do is give us your basic info and your transcript and you'll get like faster results and all that. So I was like, okay, sure, that's where my friend goes. I'll apply. So then after I applied, I started actually looking into it and I was like, oh, this is actually a really good option. I applied to like 5 different schools, but then I was like, the first one I went with that I applied for on a whim.
I don't even know what Murray State is.
It's in Kentucky, Murray, Kentucky.
Kentucky.
It borders Tennessee.
Yeah.
It has some good internship programs. It's about a medium-sized school. It has about 10,000 kids.
Okay.
It has its own radio station, so
You'll be looking into that.
it's a good plus there.
Good plus.
Yeah, because this radio station's open to students to use. And then it's a nice campus. It's close to Kentucky Derby.
Well, what are you majoring in to go to Murray State?
Yeah, it is kind of unfortunate for like the rest of us on that. But you know what? That's where that APUSH AP test comes in.
I didn't take APUSH actually.
I don't blame you. See, my thing is that if there's a dual enrollment version, then I'm going to take the dual enrollment one. And what makes me mad is the fact there is no dual enrollment history unless you want to go through the whole college
They're
lab.
adding dual enrollment history for rising juniors.
You're kidding me.
Yes.
Because what makes me so mad is I switched over to dual enrollment so much in the past like year. And there's so many opportunities that I wish I had because I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's
I
so
could have taken dual enrollment French. Like,
it's so insane because like I wish I had that opportunity so bad, man.
it's just really unfortunate. It's so unfortunate because like they're about to have like whole years of college. One semester done.
I've taken every history book in school. Madison Academic Magnet High School has it all.
Ancient history?
Ancient history.
Take that one too.
Yep.
The only one I think I didn't take was Bible.
Yeah, I didn't take Bible.
I don't know. It just has a weird vibe to me.
Yeah, or APUSH, because like you can't take APUSH.
Well, what's weird about Bible is that I could have sworn my freshman year, literally everyone was taking Bible. And like, I remember hearing so many people like talk about the class all the time, blah, blah, blah. I haven't heard a single person mention it since sophomore year.
Yeah, I haven't heard somebody talk about Bible in a really long time.
But I feel like it used to be a hot topic. And why has it not been a hot topic?
It was a hot topic because Coach Maxwell was a Bible teacher.
Oh.
I don't know if he still is or not. But
Miss Springfield is now.
Yeah, Miss Springfield is a Bible teacher. But like he would let all of the kids just go to the gym during Bible. Yeah. That's why
that
I took
explains
Bible.
why everyone wanted to take it.
That's why it was the hot topic.
I always thought it was weird that like kids who weren't even like religious were like, I'm gonna take Bible.
I'm gonna take Bible. Yeah, that's why I took ancient history.
Ancient history is such a flex on people though.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Like
I like to go around being like, yeah, I took ancient history.
I know about the Babylonians.
I know about the Phoenicians and the alphabet.
I literally don't even remember anything I learned from ancient history. I had
Really?
Okay, because I had that class during COVID. Like, it was the virtual year.
Oh.
So I took that class the semester that I was fully virtual. And so I'm going to be straight up with you. She wouldn't cold call on us. It was not uncommon for me to fall asleep during the class. I'd be sitting there, and because I wasn't required to have my camera on, I would sit there and I would fall dead asleep, and she would not know.
Yeah, every virtual class I had during freshman year, I would fall asleep. Especially Mr. Balkunis Biology 1. Oh my God.
That's not a class you need to be sleeping during.
Yeah. I passed with like a 83 though.
Oh my gosh. For you to be asleep during it, that's impressive.
I was asleep maybe 25% of the time.
You know, if you actually fall asleep in his like actual class, he has like methods.
I've heard stories. Heard tales of it.
I had him last semester and he dropped a textbook in front of somebody and they bounced up so fast.
Yeah, that's the way to get him awake. That'll do it.
It's effective. It scares them just enough.
Yeah, I don't fall asleep in Mr. Balkunis' class, though.
Mr. Balkunis is a great teacher, though.
I mean, I didn't really get to witness it because, virtual and COVID.
I've had him twice, so.
Back to ancient history, though.
Oh, gosh.
What do you remember in ancient history besides the normal stuff that everybody remembers? Like... like the Phoenicians and the alphabet.
For me to have gotten a 103 in that class, you would think I would remember.
Hinduism.
Actually, I do remember one thing I did. I wrote, you know how you have to write like a paper in that class at some point?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever actually
Wait, no.
I had to write a paper.
You had to write a paper in ancient history.
I had to write a paper, and it was basically on it was like an end of the semester kind of paper thing. It was like pretty much something we've covered, but go in depth on it. Okay. So you know how you could do the Dark Ages at one point?
Yeah.
So my essay was on Judaism and its connections to the Dark Ages, because a lot of anti-Semitism, like modern anti-Semitism, stems from the Dark Ages. Like the Holocaust would not have happened without the Dark Ages.
Makes sense.
Specifically because Jewish people and their cultural practices are just more cleanly than Christians. Like a lot of their stuff is basic hygiene. And so they were more adapted to it before the Christians. So that meant that whenever the Black Plague was spreading and everyone was getting it, they weren't. They also, instead of having like drinking from the community wells and stuff, the second people started getting sick, they started getting private wells made. So they were not getting sick. So then all the Christians were like, you put this on us. Black magic. Voodoo stuff, Jewish people bad, and then there was like literally a mass like murder spree that happened on Jewish people during the Black era. Yes, during the Dark Ages, there was a mass murder of Jewish people because
did they think they were like witches or something?
They believed that they were poisoning them. So
because they were taking showers.
Because they were being clean and weren't getting sick as fast. So while everyone else is dying, because it's part of why like the death rate was so high, and like it's something that no one ever discusses. So that was what I wrote about, because I like discovered it and I was like, this is a good topic. This is a good topic to talk about.
That's a good. Anti-Semitism is always a good topic to talk about.
Not in that way, but you know what I mean. People get it.
They get it.
They get it.
They get it.
The girls that know, It's International Women's Day.
Is it now? I know it's Women's History Month.
It's Women's History Month, and today is International Women's Day.
There have been multiple girls that walked up to me in school today, and they were like, "Yo, what are you gonna give me?" And I had no idea what they were talking about.
Gunnar is supposedly gonna bring a ton of girls out to dinner. He's gonna pay for their dinner. That's how we're getting payment reparation.
The Rizzler.
The Rizzler. The Rizziest of the Riz.
No, because I had no idea that today was International Women's Day.
International Women's Day. It pretty much means it's like a holiday all around the world celebrating women. In Sweden, today is a day where women actually do receive gifts from the men in their lives, like flowers and dinners and stuff like that.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, in Sweden, they take it way more seriously than we do. Here, it's kind of a joke. Here, we literally walk around and we're like, it is International Women's Day.
No, yeah. Well, of course it's taken as a joke here, because I haven't even seen any ads on it yet.
Yep. And it's today. So you're not going to see ads. And no, it's so today. So we're talking about the awakening in English class.
What is the awakening?
It's basically the story about this woman who awakens. She was a housewife and stuff. And then she starts having a love affair and starts to realize things about herself.
She became woke.
Pretty much. So she starts to become conscious and is controlling things of her life and starts to rebel and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. It's the perfect book to be talking about on Women's Month. But what's bad is, so today, my presentation would have been perfect to do on International Women's Day. but I did not have the gall to do it. I was not doing it today. I just simply was not. Because here's the thing. Our, assignment was to do an extension task and pretty much come up with our own,
oh, Jesus Christ.
thoughts and ideas based off of the book. And so that meant that we weren't really given a specific direction to go with this.
Is this in the DE American Lit class?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whose horror story did you hear for this?
I've heard some horror stories about this one.
Well, what's scary? So because we weren't given specific instructions, I'm sitting there, and on Monday, people start presenting, and I start feeling dumb because my presentation is nothing like any of theirs. And now I'm so scared to do mine because mine is nothing like anyone else's.
Oh my God. I had a presentation today in Dr. Kaufman's English 3 class. the extension task. Extension task.
I love Dr. Kaufman that this extension task is evil.
It's extension task.
She listens to this show as a heads up, so you might want to choose your words wisely.
Hi, Dr. Kaufman. About that extension task, Dr. Kaufman.
Did you turn it in?
No, yeah, I turned it in. I think I'm gonna be honest. I know it was a research thing. Did I do much research? Admittedly, no. I mean, I breezed over it. I glanced over it. I got the general things.
What's your topic about? Because it's our town, right?
Yeah.
What's your topic about?
I low key don't even remember, but I can remember. I can remember right now.
Explain.
Okay, so parental and societal expectations on teenagers and how it negatively affects them.
Nice.
I think I actually did a pretty good job explaining it.
Yeah, no, see, I'm nervous because I tied the main character of the book to the modern woman, and it's about post-feminism women, and it's tying stuff like that in, and I feel like everyone else did a motif or something out of the book, and I'm over here and I'm comparing her to Britney Spears. There's a slide comparing her to Britney Spears. So I'm actually so scared because I'm either I just did the most girl boss, Legally Blonde style presentation in human history and I'm about to do really great, or I did not understand the prompt. So
maybe you're paving the way for future DE American Lit taker.
I'm so scared because literally today I'm sitting there and somebody presents and it's talking about her depression and stuff like that. And I'm over here and I'm sitting here and I am the second person to go tomorrow, according to the current list. But I'm sitting there, and today it looked like I was going to have to go. And I'm sitting there, I'm oh my God. No, because if anything, I kind of want to be the first to go. That way I'm the bar.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes in and it's really, really great, it's only really, really great because mine was good, but theirs is better. It's not mine's bad.
Are you planning on going home tonight and working on the redoing the presentation? Or
no, because that feels like cheating because I've already turned it in and I'm okay, so at this point I'm just gonna have to go for it. And it's not I necessarily did anything wrong. I just attacked it at a very different angle than everyone else because the extension task is to connect it to real world things. Some people did it connecting it to their own lives. So I'm doing it by connecting it to the modern woman. So literally my different points are I talk about celebrities and I talk about Britney Spears, stuff like that. And then I have a point where, because in the story, she kind of goes through a love triangle thing because she's having an affair.
Okay.
So talk about how love triangles are a very common thing in movies and stuff now.
Yeah.
Gilmore Girls, Hannah Montana, everybody's had it. But you only ever see it with a woman being the one torn in between two men. It's never two women and a man. And so I have this whole thing on the reason behind that. And I'm I explain it as infidelity is more of an issue involving men rather than women. So men would have just went ahead and cheated instead of just doing the whole thing. Because literally I tried to find an example where it's a man torn between two women. And the only one I found was the Archie comics from the 50s.
The Archie comics from the 50s.
Yes. Where Archie is torn between Betty and Veronica. That's the only one I found.
Betty is such an old name.
So that's the only thing I found. And so I have that as a point, and then I have a thing on modern day housewives, and then a thing on women in India. I bounce around. I'm very versatile. So tomorrow I'm gonna present this, and I'm gonna want to die the whole time. I'm so scared.
If it connects, it connects.
It connects. That's the thing, is I didn't technically do it wrong. I just feel everyone else's was so much more
scholarly.
Scholarly, yes, and I have research backing it and everything, but it just feels less scholarly.
I mean, presentations are always really weird because you never know what other people are going to do. And like, I have this really weird thing when I do presentations where it's like, mine has to be like the others. Cause I don't want to like stand out
Yes.
too much in the presentations. Cause then I feel like the teacher is going to be like, well, it was actually supposed to be done like this and you did it a different way. Which is how I felt when I was presenting today, Dr. Kaufman.
Well, that's the thing is that you always want to have like one similar to the others, but just slightly better. Like you want to have something unique, but it's like on the same bar.
Yeah.
Like the best way to explain it is like everything's the same font, but yours is a different color. Like that's kind of what you want with presentations, at least at our school, because sometimes if you go a little too out of the box, you aren't hitting the target. Like,
You aren't hitting the target.
You're hitting the wall. Versus other times you go really out of the box and you're the only one who hits the target.
I mean,
I have seen that happen before where like people are given an ominous thing and like nobody hits it right, but the one person who goes the completely other direction.
I mean, maybe it's good to be unique because then that sets you apart from everybody else. And who knows, you might get a higher grade.
Yeah, but that's why I'm like anxious because I'm like, dang, either I'm about to get like a really good grade or my grade's about to So
It's about to plummet. That actually reminds me of this very great story from today in personal finance.
what happened in personal finance?
So we have this test grade for writing 100 questions down. And it's really easy. All you have to do is just write down 100 questions off of like this document that she gave us. That's all you had to do. I forgot it existed and I never turned it in. Everybody in the class is clowning on me because I didn't turn it in. And so like I hope Miss Nelson doesn't listen to this.
She does not know.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, unless Dr. Kaufman's sharing the link right now.
So I'm in personal finance, and I'm writing this up, and Miss Nelson leaves because she hurt her leg, and now she's like going to the hospital or whatever. I don't actually know where she went, but she left. So then Coach Maxwell comes in. So I don't have it done. So I just like do the first 20 and then the last 20, and then the middle I just fill it up with my math homework. And then I like placed it on the table, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. It's still there.
You just confessed to that on air.
I'm praying to God. I'm praying to God nobody opens up the document.
You just straight up confessed to that as if there's not people listening to your conversation.
It'll be fine. It's just personal finance.
Oh my gosh. That's like very smart at least.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you credit for that.
I mean, I can't just take that L like that. I feel like having a low, anything below an A in personal finance is looked down upon.
That is embarrassing.
Because like, I have a 100 test average in there. If I just get a 0 on the test grade, I can't be rocking around in personal finance with anything below an A. But yeah, that's my story.
Good for you.
Good for me.
Good for you, honestly. Because personal finance, yeah, no, that's not one you want to fail. That's kind of embarrassing. I agree with that, yeah.
If you fail personal finance.
You just said that you need to quit school if you fail that. True.
Drop out if you're failing personal finance. Oh yeah, I see you around.
Yep, nope. Personal finance. However, I think the funniest thing ever, I have a friend, and because of my slander rule, I will not be saying their name.
Slander rule.
I don't publicly name names when it's something negative. Who did very well in wellness. Like she did just fine, just how everyone else does, until the final. She's the one person I know that failed the final.
Oh my gosh.
And when you fail that final, you don't get the college credit for it. Like you don't like.
So she has to take lifetime wellness.
You have to take lifetime wellness in college.
Oh my God. What even is a lifetime wellness college course?
And that's what's funny is I'm like, either it's like way harder in college or it's like one of those dumb classes that you don't want to be paying money for. And so I'm like, oh gosh, I would not want to be taking that. I felt bad because I got a 100 on my lifetime wellness final. I did though also because I studied like a madman.
I got a 100 on the final as well.
Yeah, I like convinced. Wellness was one of those that was weird for me because I got like I think I got like an 85 on like one test, and then from then on I convinced myself I didn't know the material and like panicked every time there was a test and would sit there, and it was like my third block, And so I had first lunch because I was a freshman. So I'd sit
Yeah.
there with my little note cards during lunch and be like, like making sure I knew everything. And then I started acing all of the tests because I was like,
having an existential crisis about that is kind of funny because I don't even remember ever having a test in lifetime wellness besides the final exam.
I did bad on one singular one, and none of the tests were super hard. And it wasn't even like I did bad. I still got like a B, but I literally was sitting there and I was like, this is it. Like, this is it for me. I can't be the kid who fails lifetime wellness. So I started studying all the time for it because I was like, and then everyone else was like, Bree, you're studying for wellness? And I'm like, yes, I am.
I've had friends that studied for wellness.
Yeah, no, because some of that stuff you have to study for.
Those are the 4.0 GPA top 10 kids, though. They're the people they're in the 1%. They're the ones that are getting 36s on the ACTs going to Harvard and Yale.
Yeah. It's fine because not all of the 4.0 kids get 36s on the ACT, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's right. I mean, it's not too hard to get a 4.0, right? Just get an A in every class.
Do you have a 4.0?
No.
Neither do I. So maybe we shouldn't be the people saying that. I tried to keep like really good grades and it just never happens. I'm just not very good at math.
At algebra, I don't know how I'm going to do that Desmos.
It's me versus Desmos every day. No, I try to keep good grades, but you know what? Life happens. The universe doesn't want it to happen sometimes. I might not have a 4.0, but you know what? At least 10 people in my grade can say that they have 4.0s, but I'm the only one who's the mayor's intern. So
you're the only one with the radio show.
Yeah. So
it doesn't matter if you don't have a 4.0 GPA.
Yeah.
I mean, you're living life on cloud 9 right now.
Then again, Lily Lewis is sitting there. She's like a 4.0, and then she has written a book. So like,
has her own T-shirt and everything. Has her own Twitter.
I don't have her beat yet, but I don't know. 4.0 kids, sometimes they're like the best people ever, and then other times it's like, please be quiet. Be quiet.
I just don't like kids that are good at math, man.
No, because I hate nothing more than when you're like struggling in math and somebody's like, well, you know, if you need help, I can help you. And then whenever you do actually help, like ask them for help, it's like you're suddenly 6 again at your kitchen table and your dad's helping you. And you, like, do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean by that.
I feel like most people have had that experience at some point because it's like the most just make it stop moment. Like,
and then
I feel
like you feel so stupid as well.
Because it's literally your math equations like 2 times 2.
You start, yeah, I was going to say, you start forgetting like normal things. Like the other day, I forgot what 8 divided by 2 was.
And it all comes back down to that one night at your kitchen table with your dad. Like, that's where it all starts from. And like, it's just because I don't know why it's specifically the dads. and like everyone I know has a story like this, and it's always like their dad or their uncle or their grandfather. It's never a woman. It's always like their dad, and they're just like hashing it out, sobbing tears up to like 12 in the morning,
crazy, man.
at the age of 6,
all over a 5th grade homework set, man.
And it's something like,
and I still don't know how to add fractions.
and it's yes, and it'll literally just be like 3/4 plus 1/2. Like, it's literally just like that. And then and I kind of get why the dad's so mad because it's just that. But then you're
like,
over sobbing.
What is 3/4 plus 1/2 though? Nobody knows. Come on.
Wait, give me 1 second. Okay.
I'll let you cook.
1/2 is equal to 2/4. So
Yeah.
3/4 plus 1/2 would be 5/4. So it's 1 1/4.
You're better than me at math.
I
could not have
failed
done
geometry.
that. Oh, I did not fail geometry. Well, did you have progressive grading?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I have no excuse.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
I don't know about that one.
It was
COVID.
a mess.
COVID.
Yeah, COVID. It was the COVID year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, COVID is an excuse.
I took it
you learned
virtually.
nothing. Yeah, you learned nothing in COVID.
It was a mess. There was a lot of tears shed.
Yeah.
A lot of tears shed. But so like, I feel like most people have literally can't ask people for help because of that. But I hate it though, because anytime I do finally cave and ask for help, the second that they I start feeling that they're annoyed at me, suddenly
And
I'm
it's
like,
always specifically math.
yes, I have never heard. And I think part of it though is that, okay, I think part of it is because there's usually like, okay, hear me out, right? People who are good at English and like you ask for help in English or history are usually more chill, usually like less stressed. Like they're not gonna like get angry at you. People who are good at math will start getting worked up while doing it. Like, and it's like they're good at it, but they'll be over here and like they'll get annoyed if you don't understand it because it's easy for them. It's not like an interpretation thing for them. But English people are like, well, I see it this way, but you might see it that way.
Symbolism and imagery.
Yes, and I think it's because math is so straightforward. Like, you either do it right or it's wrong.
It's certainly not straightforward.
But versus like English, you can be wrong and find a way to make it right.
Yeah, I mean, like, just look at any English homework assignment.
Yeah, like you can find a way. There is an angle no matter what. And so like if you ask somebody who's good at English or history for help, they can like, they're not going to get worked up about it because they know that there's other ways. But like math?
Well, technically, there are a lot of ways to solve like any math problem. There's a number of ways.
But
like,
usually you're given like a specific way. I'm watching like a whole crossover episode between this out of this window right now, by the way. Literally all these people knowing each other is so strange. Nobody who's like watching this knows what I'm talking about, but you know when you like see people like your out of school friends and your school friends interact? That's what I'm watching right now.
That's strange.
And it's like literally like I know all these people from different areas of my life.
I know none of these people from none of the
I'm
areas
watching
of
my
life.
boss and a girl from my school's dad and a guy I met while running a fundraiser all talk right now.
Well, I mean, they're involved in the city of Jackson.
The city of Jackson.
The city of Jackson.
Today they did a ceremony for like influential women of Jackson and like put them on plaques and stuff. And my my principal of like 10 years got one. I'm so excited about that. Shout out to Miss Dr. Harris over at Community Montessori.
Shout out to Dr. Harris at Community Montessori.
You're a real one, Dr. Harris. You deserved that. You deserved it so much. I love you. That woman dealt with me for 10 years. She gets everything she wants.
Dr. Harris.
Dr. Harris.
I didn't even know Montessori existed until I got into 10th grade.
When you need a heart expert, you need an expert with heart. Corbin Cardiology is dedicated to providing the highest quality cardiovascular care in West Tennessee. At Corbin Cardiology, our patient-centered approach, along with a full array of diagnostic imaging services, sets us apart from other cardiovascular clinics. Corbin Cardiology has clinics in Bartlett, Dyersburg, Lexington, and the newest location is now open in Jackson at 58 Murray Guard Drive. To schedule an appointment in office or by telemedicine, visit CorbinCardiology.com
or call 731-513-5701.
All right, we're back. That was kind of an unprompted thing that caught me off guard. Can you hear yourself? Like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I couldn't hear myself for a second. These headphones are kind of falling off.
You were so shook, bro.
Because usually I get a warning before we go to like commercial break. Usually it's like timed, and that just like it just started. Like it just went for it. It didn't care what I wanted. It just went for it.
You were so offended by it. You were like,
no, because I thought it was doing what happened one time where literally I was told that I was going to go on air till like 7, like my normal time. And there's going to be a Vols game after. And the Vols decided to start 30 minutes early. So I'm sitting there in the middle of my show talking, and then suddenly a basketball game starts playing over me. And it's like, I don't know if anyone can even hear me. And apparently on the video thing, I look like I was so mad because like I suddenly just got cut off like mid-sentence. And all you hear is, now we're down 24, but the Volunteers are going to make a comeback, though. It's a comeback season.
Comeback season.
It's like some random dude out in Knox. Oh my gosh. On the topic of Knoxville, have you seen Cocaine Bear?
Oh my God. Cocaine Bear. I have not seen Cocaine Bear.
Unironically, it is genuinely one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's actually like really good.
Is it like funny or?
It's funny. It's hilarious. It's funny. It's not really scary. It's supposed to be a horror movie, but really the only like scary points are like jump scares. Like the bear like randomly appears.
Cocaine bear.
But the top, like
It's a true story.
it is a true story. It's also based in Knoxville.
Oh.
I'm now using as evidence for why my boyfriend shouldn't go to college in Knoxville because because literally it ends up being like based off a true story. As a heads up, they never found all the cocaine, so there's a chance that some of the cocaine is still in the woods and that the bear can get into it again.
Did the bear kill anybody, or is it just like
Let's actually in the movie it does. I'm not sure if he actually did kill anyone.
cocaine bear, man? It's such a funny concept as well.
The concept is hilarious, but if you watch the movie, it's like genuinely so good because it knows that the concept's funny, so it kind of makes fun of itself. Like it has so much fun with it being, and then it still stays like a horror movie. Like it's so good.
Okay.
I like watched it the other day. I watched it actually since y'all took the ACT yesterday. I watched it Monday night, and I treated Monday night like it was Saturday because no one was at the movies.
Okay.
It's like literally the best time in human history to go see a movie is Monday night when the next day's ACT day.
Slay Queen.
Did anyone die in the IRL cocaine bear?
Brilliant Google search.
I don't know if that's the way to phrase any of that.
The IRL
Okay.
cocaine.
The film takes significant liberties. While the events which occurred between the bear's ingestion of the cocaine and its death are not known, the bear is not known to have caused any deaths, unlike the bear portrayed. In the movie, the bear kills a bunch of people.
Oh.
However, in the movie, though, the bear only kills people who are getting in its way. And a lot of the deaths are actually caused by accident. Like, the bear doesn't technically kill them because they were running from the bear and ran into a tree.
And then the bear eats them.
No. Like they're driving. Like they're driving into a tree. Like that happens at one point. Like, so, because most of the time, if you have a bunch of cocaine on you, the bear's just going to come and lick you in the movie. Like the bear actually low-key kind of chill. Like he kills a few people.
I mean, I would imagine a bear that takes cocaine would be pretty chill.
Yeah. No, and that's why it's so funny because the bear's just like, like he's living his best life. Everyone's running from him, so scared. And then like he's scary in some points where he's like, "Arr!" But like other times he just is like, do you have cocaine? Like, can you hook a brother up? Like, and then there's like a little gang in it at one point, but they're kind of cute. Like they get beat up, but I'm just like,
They get beat up by cocaine bear.
no. Like, okay, so like the drug dealers who like the cocaine came from are like there and they're trying to track down the cocaine to like, because they're about to lose a ton of money if they don't get that cocaine because it's a ton of cocaine. We're saying cocaine so much. We're going to get like
So much
blacklisted from the air. But so they're like trying to find it, and then there's like this little gang of ruffians who like apparently beat up hikers in the woods to try to steal their money. Well, they don't realize that they're trying to mug a drug dealer, so they get beat up. And then the drug dealer's like, yo, you're walking with us. Like, you come bring us to the cocaine. And then the kid, and you're expecting him to be like kind of like a little rough around the edges and stuff like that. He talks like Jeremiah Ritchie. He's walking around, he's talking like this. And he's like, and he's like, I'm sorry for knifing you. I just thought maybe you'd have money. You know, those boys back there, they're my best friends. We're going to go to New York together.
Yeah. That cocaine back there, that's my best friend.
And it's so funny because they're just, all of that's going on and they're completely unaware that a bear is currently like rampaging through the woods, killing people.
They're completely unaware that a bear is currently on cocaine right now.
Yes, they don't know. The movie is literally so funny. I 100% suggest it, and I feel like people are not taking it seriously. No one's going to go see it. And it's objectively actually like really good.
Can you really blame them? When I first heard the name Cocaine Bear was coming to theaters, I did not expect that I would be going to see it.
When I heard the words Cocaine Bear, I knew immediately I was going to go see it. I'm going to be honest. I heard Cocaine Bear and went, yes, I'm going to go see that.
Yes, there's cocaine involved. I'm going to see it.
Well, I love cheesy movies like that. Like Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies.
What is Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies?
So it's literally, first off, it's a ripoff of another movie, which makes it even better because there's Abraham Lincoln the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
It's a ripoff of that.
I think I've seen that one on the TV guide.
Well, it's a ripoff of that movie. And the concept of it is that during the Civil War, the Confederates start having like an outbreak of like zombie influenza or something. And so Lincoln doesn't want anyone to know because he's like, oh my God, like the Union soldiers aren't going to fight against some zombies. So this man single-handedly goes out there with like one of those, like the thing the Grim Reaper has.
A scythe?
Yes. And just like starts taking out zombies left and right with like a little group of like Union soldiers he trusts. And like he just starts taking them out left and right. And it's so cheesy and weird.
Defeated the entire Confederate army with a scythe.
Not the entire army, but all the ones that were zombies. Mm-hmm. Because for some weird reason they were all together in one place at the same time.
Anything for freedom, man.
Yes, the whole movie's so weird. I'm like, I would love to watch Abraham Lincoln watch this and explain to him what's going on.
I gotta watch this when I go home.
And then the same company that made that one, it's Asylum Productions, by the way. Asylum Productions makes the funniest movies I have ever seen in my life because they made Abraham Lincoln vs. Zombies, and then they made Nazis at Center Earth. And the concept of it is that the center of the earth is like inhabitable. And it's like basically a really nice botanic place, right? And it's where the Nazis actually went. Like all the big top guys actually all snuck down there. And apparently they've been keeping Hitler's body frozen down there. And it gets wilder. So like this group of travelers like stumbles through like, they fall through a hole and they end up at the center of the earth.
They fall through a hole and they fall to the center of the earth.
They're like explorers.
None of them died.
They're like they're explorers or something, so they're like looking for something. I don't know. It gets weirder because later on they say in the movie that like this happens a lot. Like people fall down this hole like pretty regularly because they're trying to figure out why these Nazis. Bear in mind, this movie's made in 2000. They're trying to figure out why all these Nazis are still alive, and I'm like, because it's only been like 60 years. Like it's.
I mean, some of the Nazis were like 60 years old. I mean, they'd be like 120.
I'm like, they would be super old. So I think the weirder question is not that how are they alive? The weirder question is why are they so young looking? Well, then they explain it. And this is the most weirdly messed up movie logic I have ever heard. They have some sort of scientific thing, and anytime people fall down the hole, they've been stealing their skin and like sewing it up to theirs. And then they explain
Leatherface.
it, and you would think it would look like Leatherface, right? But they explain it as like, but they have this scientific ointment thing that like makes it blend together, so it becomes like their own skin. It's like what?
You've got to have some real scientific, technological innovations to be
to just
sewing some skin on yourself,
absorbing like someone else's
and
skin.
looking 50 years younger.
I know, yeah, because like they all look 18, like they're like all straight chilling, and then like these people, one of them gets like kidnapped and like their skin gets taken, and it's like this weirdly gross scene. But do you care if I just straight up tell you the end of the movie? I mean, like
I don't care. No.
I don't think you're ever gonna watch this movie. I don't think anyone knows what I'm talking about out there that's watching this. Okay. The end of the movie, they bring Hitler back to life.
Okay.
But it gets better.
It's
They
better.
can only throughout the whole movie, whenever the Nazis are talking, they're talking about how there's like a secret hidden project. They're building a 2-story tall spider body for Hitler. So at the end, he like pops up and like chases all the people and is like
in the center. And keep in mind, this is all happening at the center of the
Let me pull
earth.
this up.
Wait.
Because I feel like no one knows. It was made in 2012.
So
Nazis at the center of the earth.
Nazis at the center of the earth.
Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly because I did watch this in the middle of the night at like middle school. Okay, it's not a spider body, but it's a robot body. It's a robot body.
Oh my god.
I don't know if
Bro
y'all can
is
see it.
dripped out. Oh my god.
But he pulls back up. In my head, I remembered it as a spider body, but I think it's because he jumps around. But like, there's like the skin thing. Like, it's a real movie. It's so weird. It is such a weird movie.
What's the Rotten Tomatoes rating?
Let's see.
Let's see that Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, first off, on IMDb, it's a 3.1 out of 10.
Oh god. I would imagine Nazis at the center of the earth would be.
Okay, we're pulling up the Rotten Tomatoes right now. The Rotten Tomatoes, if the Wi-Fi will load. Come on. I want to see it. My mom got it for me out of this like cheesy horror movie disc thing she found.
Oh, it was a DVD.
Hey y'all, this is Mary at Mulligan's. Come see us soon before the new wears off. Hard to believe, but we're coming upon an anniversary in our locally family-owned business at Union University Drive. We still have our daily lunch specials, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., which will remind you of Grandma's cooking, or try our Irish dishes, fish and chips, Reuben's and shepherd's pie, or everyone's favorite, the Mully Burger. And how about brunch on Saturdays and Sundays? Yep, every weekend, serving Jackson for over 25 years. See you soon at Mulligan's.
It was literally just Mulligan's. I thought that was so scary. I was unaware that we now have like timed out commercial breaks that apparently click every 15 minutes. Okay.
Well, anyway, back to Nazis at the Center of the Earth.
Nazis at the Center of the Earth has a 16% on
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. So our texting thing isn't currently set up, so you can't join the conversation through texting. However, if you would like to call us, you can call us on our CWA phone lines, 731-265-6496. That is 731-265-6496. Back to our little convo here. Yeah, it has a 16%. One of the other movies from Asylum has a 16% as well. They have a rip-off Terminator movie that has a 15%.
Rip-off Terminator.
Let's see how they... Antarctic researchers are taken captive by decaying underground Nazis who are planning a new Third Reich.
Reich?
Reich. I paid attention. I forgot the Antarctic researchers part. I just in my head thought that they fell down a hole.
Wait, so there's Antarctic researchers that are in Antarctica and they fall
apparently
down through
that's
a hole
how you get to the center of the earth.
And they don't die.
Antarctica.
They don't die. They're
like yanked down a hole apparently.
They
I
fall
have
all the
so
way
many
down.
questions.
Imagine being in that situation though. You're just on Antarctica, you're doing your research, fall down a hole, fall to the center of the earth,
and there's Nazis.
You see Adolf Hitler.
That's the part that gets me. As I'm like, I kind of am in so much support of that movie existing because I can only imagine how much Hitler started rolling in his grave when that movie came out. Just like, because I think that he's like a figure that's perfectly okay to bully. And like,
if anybody's okay to bully, it's Hitler.
Portraying him as a giant robot whose followers steal people's skin is possibly the best way you could portray him.
I mean, he probably would have done something like that, to be fair.
Actually, that makes perfect sense based off of him. I'm kind of surprised his body wasn't frozen. Did you know that there's a theory that the reason why Disney's like Frozen movie is named Frozen is because too many people were Googling Walt Disney Frozen because they were trying to find whether or not he actually was a frozen dead body.
Wait, so
there's like a theory that Walt Disney was like frozen when he died.
Okay.
Because people used to get that done because they believed that science would progress enough that they would be able to like
reanimate, come back to life.
Yes, like they believed that scientists would be able to unfreeze them and reanimate them, but you could only do that if your body was like preserved. So they would get frozen.
That's baller, man. I'd do the same thing.
Well, the reason is because sometimes like bugs or something that were like frozen in Antarctica, when the ice is melting, they'll like come back to life.
I mean, but that's
because like they're built different. Like,
they're built different.
We aren't built like that. And it's funny because then you think about the fact that those same bugs would probably have like a 2-day lifespan otherwise, but then they got frozen and got like a 100-year one.
Like a gnat has a weak lifespan. A fly also has a weak lifespan, I believe.
There is a type of moth that's lifespan is exactly 2 days, and it's born without even a mouth because it like has no like need to eat. Because it only lives for 2 days. Like they don't eat, they don't drink.
At that point,
they don't eat or drink. Literally, the whole point of their life is that the first day is like their adolescence, and then their second day is like adulthood, reproduce, die. And they're lunar moths. All they do is look pretty.
So, like, are they contributing anything to the ecosystem? If they were to go extinct, what would happen?
I don't know.
Would a group of animals lose their food,
anything.
or?
I know. I kind of wonder if they're like 8. Like, is that why it's 2 days? Like somebody's coming up and eating them? Like,
2-day lifespan is insane.
Imagine if your lifespan was 2 days, and you're choosing to spend an hour of it here.
No, I like being here. It's pretty cool here. We get to talk
Bestie
about
Sean.
Bestie Bree.
No,
we get to talk about Hitler. And
we're talking about Hitler. It's fine. It's whatever. Now I can't hear myself. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
I disconnected my headphones.
That's insane.
I don't know where these connect.
Hey, it happens to the best of us, though.
I literally don't know where these connect. So, oh well. YOLO. I'm gonna take them off now. I'm breaking things. That's exactly what I'm doing. Does it go here? No. Does it go here? Question mark? Question mark? Oh my god, I think it does. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I just stuck the headphones into a random hole.
Did not look like it.
You know what? It's fine. I've done this before. This is what happens whenever we have to add an extra person to the mic anyways. So.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody always ends up without headphones.
I mean, at least we get to talk about the center of the earth.
And,
and people's skin getting stolen.
What's your center of the earth?
I don't even know what that question is supposed to mean.
What's your center of the earth?
What does that mean?
You know, back in the Middle Ages, people used to believe that the sun revolved around the earth.
Yeah.
And then everything revolved around the earth. But then one day, it all changed.
There's that one astronomer guy. I forgot his name.
He was from the Renaissance era.
Plato.
But then one day, it all changed. And they discovered, actually, no, we're not the center of the universe. But we can be the center of our own earth.
What a revelation.
Mm-hmm. However, the center of our earth is just molten lava. But you can be the center of the earth for somebody. What's your center of the earth, Sean?
My center of the earth is pizza. That's my center.
Did you have the pepperoni?
I had the pepperoni.
But okay. My center of the earth is bad movies. Okay. Actually, my center of the earth is just Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
It's the same difference, but Cocaine Bear specifically.
So your center of the earth is not Nazis at the center of the earth?
No, I feel like that'd be controversial for me to say.
Which, by the way,
imagine somebody like taking that out of context and I'm like, and they like cut it off, and the statement's just my center of the earth is Nazis. Crap! I just gave them the opportunity to do that because that was just a sentence.
Clip that. Also, movie doesn't make sense on another front because you just said it's all molten lava at the center of the earth, so there's no way that could have happened anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's like another movie that like they go to the center of the earth and they like.
Why are there so many center of the earth?
I don't know, because like it's been scientifically proven that that's not what's at the center of the earth. And every interpretation is always like Hawaii. Like it's always like super like there's a bunch of trees and like botanic stuff. How? It's at the center of the earth. You're underneath the dirt. You need the sun.
Underground.
Imagine you get yanked to the center of the earth while you're in Antarctica by some like dude and you're like dragged like, because now that I think about that, yeah. How many miles, like how many feet down were they dragged?
You're going to be going for like
a while. And
hours?
They just got yanked down.
You're going to be going for hours. Whoop. I mean like the distance.
If it takes like.
Oh, think of it this way. If it takes however many hours it takes to go from like Asia to North America.
That's literally the point I was like. If it takes that many hours, how many hours would it take to like be yanked down?
Also, you have to account for like all of the.
Do the Nazis have teleporting abilities we don't know about?
That sounds feasible, yeah.
If you are a person you know is a Nazi, call the hotline.
Call 731-265-6496 if a person you know is a Nazi.
Because we have questions.
We'll get them to the center of the earth.
Plot twist. I'm just a little bit. I just have questions. Imagine we get a phone call right then. That would.
We can get phone calls on here?
Yeah, that's what this is for.
Yo, I'm a rookie. I'm new to this.
You really are. You are just the rookie.
Yeah, I'm a rookie in everything, man. When I first started doing theater, I was the rookie then. I'm the rookie now.
You're just always the rookie. Wow.
I
Maybe
really do
one
be
day you'll
rookie.
be the pro.
Maybe
You keep doing theater.
Man, I can't wait.
You know,
Senior
next year you won't be a
I'm
rookie.
gonna be the pro. I'm gonna be the person giving
You're gonna be the
rules.
senior. You're gonna be the senior.
I'm gonna be that guy. I'll be him.
Not only that, but like I have a feeling you're gonna get a lead your senior year. I just
Lead?
know it.
Now I don't know about lead, but
Well, like I just feel like I have a feeling at some point you and Alasia are gonna get really good parts. I'm like
Really?
convinced of it.
now Alasia I know because she's on another level. She's insane.
Well, because you're gonna be the one like upperclassman boy. You're gonna be like the Seth Pratt.
Charlie,
Oh, that is true. Charlie might
Jay?
get a part. Jay could get a part.
Jay-
No,
Jay
I think
would
it's gonna be
definitely get a
you
lead
versus
role.
Jay at some point. But like
we don't want to stir any competition, but I mean,
stirring the pot
if
a
it's
little
down
bit.
to that lead role, I might have to commit some crimes there.
There's no small parts, just small actors.
There's no small parts, just small actors. Keep that in mind.
You never seen the best Christmas pageant ever?
I don't even know what a Christmas pageant is.
It's like, okay, so the Christmas pageant is like when churches do like on Christmas,
Yeah. The
manger scene.
the manger scene, yeah,
Like
okay.
they have somebody playing Joseph, Mary, blah, blah, blah. Best Christmas pageant
But
ever.
it's a pageant.
Well, they just call it that. Best Christmas pageant ever is a play that basically is based off of like that. And the concept of the play is that this family that's kind of like poorer and like the kids are very much rascals, like they get in trouble a lot at school, they're always dirty, blah, 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 are the ones cast to play Mary and Joseph.
They got the
And
lead
it
roles?
like becomes it becomes like a big deal because all the other kids are mad about it. And then like the director's like, now remember, kids, there's no small parts, just small actors, to make the kids feel better. But like, and it's like this really like heart touching story because then the little girl who plays Mary like starts to like get in touch with herself, and like there's this cute scene of her holding the baby doll. It's a cute movie. There's a movie version. But like the Ned used to do it every single year. They would do
What?
best Christmas pageant ever
Yo.
every single year.
Shout out to the Ned, by the way. I'm gonna be on the Ned soon. I'll get a part.
What are you
probably.
auditioning for?
I don't know. I don't even know when they're.
Footloose is coming up.
What is Footloose?
It's like a dance musical.
Musical, you say? Oh.
It's very dance heavy. Can you dance?
No. I also can't sing. I'm not Zendaya. I'm no triple threat.
Sean is not Zendaya. Breaking news. He's not going to be fighting Nicki Minaj for Tom Holland. He is not.
What? Nicki Minaj wants Tom Holland?
Okay, that without context is bad. So there was like, before Tom Holland and Zendaya were together, like before they were together, there's this running trend on Twitter where people would ship Nicki Minaj and Tom Holland, and like there was edits done of them together. Like there was like a whole like web series about it, and like none of it was real. They have never met, but like they would edit them together, and so people like literally had like, and these stories got complex. Like they had kids in one version, and like so whenever Tom
on
Holland,
Twitter.
yes, on
Yo,
Twitter.
what side of Twitter are you on?
Apparently the Tom Holland Nicki Minaj one, because it was like Nicki Holland. Like it was like.
We've snowballed into this conversation all because I said I was gonna be in a play at the Ned.
Well, you know what? You weren't no Zendaya.
I ain't no Zendaya. Yo, I mean, I can act. If they don't, every time I hear about the Ned putting on a show, it's always a musical.
They do some straight plays. They do occasionally.
Man, I'm gonna have to up my acting game. I'm gonna have to go to the next level.
Oh, yeah, no, because the Ned's about to be really competitive because Jackson's like growing really rapidly and it's like the main theater. So as all these like new people move in, there's a ton more theater kids.
I'm trying to reach Seth Pratt level acting. That man is my idol. I don't think I've ever told him this before, but I'm trying to be like Seth Pratt. Like
I'm gonna tell him.
He's every time I see him on stage,
I watched him eat a calzone I ripped in half with no like tray today, and he had to eat it like this.
Okay.
That's your idol.
I mean, that's idol things right there. That's just things that idols do. They
eat.
They take unfortunate situations and they make it better. They make it good.
He ate it like this.
He ate it like
I don't know.
this.
He did eat up 12 Angry Jurors when he screamed at me.
He was eating up 12 Angry
He truly
Jurors.
just screamed at me. See, I feel like my typecast is I always get cast as characters that are like kind of similar to me, so then I never really get to act. I'm just kind of up there being myself. Like 12 Angry Jurors, half the time I was just straight chilling. Like I was like,
In 12 Angry Jurors, it was literally the exact opposite of what I'm like in real life.
your character in 12 Angry Jurors is so awkward. Like, it's just like,
And he never knows what he wants to do. Like, he's yelling one time, and then he's timid another, and then he switches between his votes 3 times.
because I almost feel like he was originally written to be a different, like, he was originally written to be like 2 different characters, and then they kind of just like, or like they get, okay, or like my thought process is like, he's kind of written as if the author wrote it as 11 jurors and then learned that there's 12 in a jury and then went through and stole lines from all the other characters and like was like, here we go. But no, my favorite part about your character in that was all the lines about him growing up in a slum. But then he also at one point it sounds like he hates slum kids, so it's kind of like, okay, pick a side, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know. That switch knife line, though. I was pretty good at that switch knife line.
You got that little like.
Anybody who's ever used a switch knife before would never have stabbed downward. You don't handle a switch knife that way. You use it underhanded. I ate that up, except for that one time when I did not eat it.
Shout out to that play because I swear I didn't know those lines until like the week of, no matter how hard I tried. I was stressing.
You literally had like 10 lines that sounded the exact same.
That was part of why I was having so many issues, is that all my lines sounded the same. And so I would be sitting there and I'm like, I don't know. At one point during one of the shows, somebody else said a line that sounded super similar to another line. So, the other line that they said though, is like my cue line to get up to the other side of the room. So I got up to the other side of the room and then realized I was not supposed to be there until literally like the next act. So I'm awkwardly already standing on the other side of the room, and it wasn't even the side that had the little water. Yes.
Oh.
And it wasn't even the side that had the little water cooler. So I had to go like stare out the window for like a minute because I didn't mean to, and I didn't have a way of casually just walking back.
Nobody
and then
could tell.
Well, then I had a line, so then I just said it from that side and then walked back then. Because I was like, now it seems normal. Now it seems like I'm being sassy.
And Mr. Young must have been like, what is she doing?
I don't even think anyone noticed. I think I got away with it.
I did not notice.
That play was one of those that I
This is
definitely got away with.
WBFG 96.5 FM. 96.5 FM. Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. A family member of the victims who were kidnapped in Mexico is speaking out. Barbara McLeod Burgess, the mother of kidnapped survivor Latavia Burgess, tells CNN this morning her daughter tells her the vehicle the 4 Americans were in was targeted shortly after crossing into Mexico.
They were driving through and a van came up and hit them, and that's when they started shooting at the car, shooting inside the van or whatever, and I guess since the other ones tried to run and they got shot at the same time.
2 of the family were killed while 2 survived. All 4 were found in a wooden shack where they were being guarded by a man who was detained. Ukraine's ambassador to the UK has dismissed media reports that a pro-Ukraine group was involved in blowing up the Nord Stream gas pipelines in the Baltic Sea last year. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Vadim Pristaiko tells Sky News his government had nothing to do with the sabotage of the Nord Stream gas pipeline.
It's just a bit premature to discuss things like what would happen if. We believe that nothing, there is no now our involvement there. I'm not just talking about technically how difficult it is to do it. I'm just telling that's totally against our own interest.
Meanwhile, Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov has also rejected suggestions that the attack could have been ordered by Kyiv, telling reporters in Stockholm it's like a compliment for our special forces, but this is not our activity. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The chief executive of Norfolk Southern Railroad is preparing to tell a Senate committee he's deeply sorry for the fiery derailment last month on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. A Senate committee is holding a hearing Thursday to look into the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Senators are expected to scrutinize railway safety and the response to the crash. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Miss Prager here. Sue and I mean it. Dogs are part of our family. We love Otto and Snoopy so much. There's nothing quite like their loyal companionship. So we provide them with Rough Greens. In fact, I just talked to my wife about it because we want them to be healthy and we want them to be with us as long as possible. That's true. I know Sebastian Gorka feels the same way.
The Pragers and I couldn't agree more. Our pups, Killian and Leia, rely on us to provide what's best for them. And naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black has packed Rough Greens full of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, omega oils, and more that supplement their food in a way that has shown us great results. Trying out Rough Greens is an easy yes, recommended by me, Dr. G.
Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm so proud that the Pragers and Sebastian Gorka have entrusted their dog's health to Rough Greens. I'm so confident that Rough Greens can help your dog, I'm offering you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Yes, your dog's food is dead food, but you can bring it back to life with Rough Greens. Go to ruffgreens.com.
6. There are plenty of jobs to go around, but the number of layoffs is rising. Correspondent Rita Foley reports.
Employers added a stunning 517,000 jobs in January. In all, there were 10.8 million job openings in January, down from December, says the Labor Department, but still a historically high number of jobs. The unemployment rate fell to 3.4%. That's the lowest it's been since 1969. The number of openings in January means there are about 2 jobs for every unemployed American. But here's the other thing. Layoffs rose in January to 1.7 million. That's the highest since December of 2020. I'm Rita Foley.
For 20 straight months, employers have posted at least 10 million openings, a level never reached before 2021 in Labor Department data. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. A drug firm executive is going to prison.
The former chief executive of Rochester Drug Cooperative was sentenced to more than 2 years in prison on Wednesday for conspiring to distribute opioids illegally in the first criminal opioid trafficking case against a drug wholesaler and its executives. U.S. District Judge George Daniels sentenced 79-year-old Lawrence Dowd to 27 months at a hearing in Manhattan. The judge said Dowd's crime was motivated solely by profit. Rochester Drug Cooperative, Dowd, and another executive were charged in 2019 with conspiring to distribute illegal narcotics and accused of ignoring clear red flags that the drugs were being sold illegally, such as large bulk orders of pills and payments in cash. I'm Bill Alexander.
The license of a Rochester, New York concert venue has been revoked while authorities investigate the circumstances of a deadly weekend stampede following a rap concert that killed 2 people. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson-Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Watch this.
This Owens, and now he's tackling his biggest assignment yet. This is the Officer Tatum Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. I'm glad that Dan is calling in because that is the next subject I want to talk about is this January 6th stuff. So Dan from Washington, welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
Yes, I would like to say this first, and you're recording this and you need to use this. When you come on the air,